Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 249, and we are well into December now. And got Spencer Lappin in the garage once again. Spencer, welcome.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Posts, yeah. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great, man.
Yeah?
It's a good holiday, dude.
Good.
I love it.
Good. And yeah, so that was not last week's, but we did have a Thanksgiving episode. Was that 2 weeks ago? And that was nice with Ryan Newman. Check that out. That's on all your podcast apps right now. And you can check out the video on YouTube or Facebook, and it's still up on both of those. I do want to thank our sponsors. Got Nate Hale here as always, but sponsors, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. That's the monthly contributions. We appreciate that continued support from all of you guys. And also you can do the one-time contribution like Spencer has before, actually, on Venmo. Makes it real easy one time for a bottle or for whatever else you want to do, any denomination, and that's going to be Venmo at Bourbon and BS. So we appreciate that support. Also, we're smoking tonight the Crux du Connoisseur, and that's going to be coming from Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you, Tinder Box at Easton. Check them out. They are fully stocked and ready to go for the holiday season. For any gift ideas, if you're looking for yourself or others, definitely check them out. They do ship. About one or two more shipping dates available, so get that in now before it's too late for the holiday. Altadis USA, we've got the Romeo y Julieta, the Connecticut Nicaragua, which is a kind of a favorite of the show for the second part. It kind of goes with everything. It lightens things up at the end of the night. No matter what we've smoked, it has enough flavor. That's coming from Plasencia and Altadis USA. So also BS Cigar Company, thank you for the gold and silver. Those are great cigars, and hope you guys have tried those. The gold is also made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa Cigars. And last but not least, if you're looking for a holiday idea for a gift, I'd get on there right now. Hopefully you can get it in time. Today being the 7th,
December 7th, 1941.
It's 2022, Nate. Oh. And if you want to get something for the Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, as soon as you can get on there and order, if you're looking for a gift, buyjack.com/bourbon and BS. Got the hoodie I have on, black, blue, all those hoodies. Got the pour one more, light up another.
Are we doing this? We're doing this? Fuck yeah, we're doing this.
Got the BS with focus on the silver lining, black and gray shirt that Spencer has on. But
sponsored.
Check those out. Those do. I mean, we've had some people order those, and hopefully we'll get them in time for the holidays. But don't wait on that. Check those out. Everything's available. Print to order. They'll ship it directly to you or whoever you want them to ship it to. Without further ado, we're going to be drinking tonight. We had a little bit of a last-minute reschedule, so we're looking forward to what we originally had planned, hopefully coming up maybe in January, and get Spencer back on. But tonight, we're going to be doing the Nelson Bros or Nelson Brothers whiskey. This is the reserve bourbon, and that's what we're going to be drinking on. I picked this up in the Chicago area. It is now available pretty much nationwide, to my knowledge, including Ohio for our Ohio listeners. It is available now. I know it's available right down the street. We just looked that up on the ohlq.com website, so it's happy to see that. And we're going to be smoking, like I said, the Crux du Connoisseur. So
I have not gotten a notification for the. I know Spencer shared it, but
I got on the Facebook.
Yeah, it hasn't popped up for me at all.
Well, I see Spencer's there, yeah. But anyways, so we're going to be drinking Nelson Brothers, and I'll share this in a little bit here. Nelson's Brothers, do you have any information on this, Nate? I know I was at this distillery, Greenbrier, in Nashville, Tennessee.
How long ago were you there?
It was this year. Yeah, February area, I think it was. Yeah, first quarter. But this was something that we were down in Nashville. We stopped by Greenbrier Distillery in Nashville, Tennessee. We got to didn't do a tour. They still weren't quite doing any tours. But we did do a tasting, which was cool around there, like nice bar there, which a lot of these places have. You got to kind of see back in their distillery. Smaller operation right now, a lot of history here. We talked about this, I think, when we did the Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah.
So this is
so the Greenbrier makes Tennessee whiskey,
correct,
as well as this, and as well as Nelson Brothers, as well as Belle Meade.
Belle Meade was what this product is going to be. This is replacing Belle Meade from what it sounds. There's going to be a little bit of confusion on this show for those that are listening here, because you can't really get a straight answer. When I was down there, they were talking about a new product coming out. And this landed middle of the summer and
June.
Beginning of the summer. I don't know.
No, that's when the official release was June.
Do you want to fight him?
Summer 22. This came out in June, summer 2022.
We've done 250 podcasts together.
I know, 249 as of now. But no, this was replacing, in a sense, nationwide from the press release that Belle Meade, classic Belle Meade Reserve will be something available possibly in Tennessee, some other places. You can still find it on the shelves, but this is going to be, I guess, the national release. And so this is not the same product, according to some of the stuff I read. Some of the other stuff, they said it is the same product. It is a different proof.
Did you try this when you were at the distillery?
This did not exist when I was at the distillery.
Got it.
This was the keep an eye out for that, is what I was basically told. We tried the Belle Meade. We tried the Nelson Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey. We tried a couple other things as well. They were using some of this stuff to also finish in different types of casks, which are available at the distillery. But
like at the gift shop?
At the gift shop, yeah. And I got a killer T-shirt. It has this, just a blue T-shirt where it has whiskey spelled out the way they have it on the bottle. It's always just a real basic, cool T-shirt. They had a lot of cool other ones there as well. So I definitely recommend going down there if you're down. Well, not necessarily a special trip for this, but Nashville, when you're there, head over there.
Did you do Nashville barrel while you were out there?
We did not. No, this was the only distillery we did when we were down there. And I appreciate Kristen being a sport and doing it because, you know, she did take a sip of it. But yeah, this is coming at 107.8 proof. This is more of what they consider their sipping whiskey. The classic is also fine. I think it's 90 something. I don't know exactly what the classic is. Did you look that up?
Was it 95 point something?
Yeah, but I mean, this is Spencer. What do you think of this? Just dive right in here.
Yeah, I get a little. Well, one, I recognize the bottle because I do a Belle Meade at home, so it looked like it looks like they're using the same bottle or pretty similar bottle. So I know we're trying to do a little bit of research on it beforehand. I get a little sweetness right off the tip. Me personally. Yeah. When you said 107, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it.
Assume it's right.
No, I assume it's right. It's just you guys can normally dial these in. Does it feel like 107 to either of you?
Steve's usually pretty good at guessing. I guess we would have to get Josh from the shop on. He's.
What do you think, Nate?
No, to me it hits a little bit lighter than 107.
Yeah, so I thought it was like a little bit more in the 90s.
Yeah, it's
which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I think proof wise it hits a little lower than that. But I think the finish is a little rough.
You think it's a little bright?
A little rough, huh?
Like, I mean.
Yeah, Shannon, you want any of this? Do you want a glass? No, I'm good. Okay.
This is a problem, by the way, for those that are listening after the fact. Hopefully you guys get notified. I have not gotten notified that it's on. So thank you, Facebook.
I don't run Facebook.
I mean, I was looking at you when I said it, but I didn't mean it. But I mean, the fact that I don't get a notification when I'm the one that's posting it, it's a problem. So hopefully we'll get a good audience here tonight.
I blame Elon.
Retaliation or got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
He's going all out.
He's going all out.
He's taking no prisoners.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and Kristen, who is listening, she said she didn't get notified either. So awesome. Yeah, it sounds like social media is not being steered any direction at all. Solid.
Watch, we're gonna finish this episode with like 10 views.
That's fine.
All right.
So you said you think it finishes harsh? Is that what you said?
Harsh. Yeah, like young. Like it's got a young finish. Like it's got a nice front to it, kind of a honey sweetness.
That's
a little thick up front, but then the finish all of a sudden like kind of bright and then brings out that kind of young flavor that sometimes we get on the younger whiskeys or whiskeys that are trying to cheat the aging process, where they try and either use smaller barrels or stays.
I doubt that this is the case because, from my understanding, it's still coming from MGP.
Yeah, it's still
as of now.
Yeah, it's still a Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee blend.
Right, which Belle Meade was sourced from MGP in Lawrenceburg. So, my impression was that this was going to be something that they were going to be doing on site from what it seems, they might have jumped the gun as far as rebranding it. And then I don't know. That's again, for those that are, we're basically, we were going to have another guest on from another distillery doing a different bottle. This was one that was kind of in the wings that we were hoping to get someone from Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier. What's that?
So one of our good friends, Bob Rayer.
I saw him on.
Yeah. They do heat and cool their aging facility.
Okay.
So they're not
MGP?
Well, no, Nelson.
Okay.
So they could be buying the barrels and then aging it there.
Sure.
But they're climate controlling.
Yeah, he's been there, I believe. It's
Yeah.
like kind of like the back half of this, and I don't know if he knows if Bob, do they have an offsite? I can't recall. I thought they might, but I know they had some stuff going on behind the front part of that, so on the, kind of the back end. But I didn't know if they had an offsite there. But so you think it's a little bit harsh, Spencer?
I get the honey, the sweetness of it. It does. I mean, it doesn't linger on you. It kind of disappears towards the back end.
Sure.
I don't necessarily get the youngness off it. I just kind of get it. It's a quicker finish, in my opinion. It just kind of disappears a little bit. But I think overall it's a good sipping whiskey, which is why I was asking about the proof early on, because it didn't feel like a 107. It felt like a lighter, more sipper, which I'm okay with.
Yeah. I agree with you. Have a little sweetness. It does turn. I wouldn't say necessarily harsh. I'm trying to think if there's a little bit of like a spice, maybe a little bit of a dryness is maybe the harshness. I don't get the young side of it that Nate is getting necessarily. But
Dry
it
at
is
the end.
Dry at the end.
Dry at the end.
Okay, maybe not young, but
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not getting that.
But it's got this really sharp kind of young corn flavor on the finish for me.
You don't love the aftertaste.
I don't like the finish. The flavor.
I always ask people about the young thing because again, I always.
You've been asking me about the young thing for a while.
Okay, I meant the young finish of like when people say it tastes young. I get the corn part of it, but I mean I don't get as much corn here. I'm always curious when people say that, especially when it's like well, no, it's not because it's 6 years or it's 10 years, and it's like, well, it tastes young. It's like, what does that mean to different people? I think sometimes they do have a different meaning to it.
A little too much ethanol on the finish for me.
Ethanol, okay.
Yeah, I don't get to as much ethanol as he gets. I kind of get the little bit of dryness, or just kind of it's not bad. It's just not unctuous kind of at the end.
Well, it doesn't.
But you get a little hug with
you get the hug. I don't get the like that with that drier finish. When I say that, there's not a whole lot of like eagerness to go back for another sip. It doesn't keep you salivating like some do when it has that extra like sweetness, or it's got like that, even like the more classic mint, like it's like one of those like mint or cinnamon or like some of that stuff. It kind of keeps
food
you going
flavor
back
type finish.
Go back for some more. This one's more of like that kind of dry. I get the abrupt finish, but it does linger. I have not really smoked my cigar at all. I think it does kind of linger in there as like a kind of a nice warmness. You get the hug. I get the warmness kind of on my palate still.
I do think that someone who's not a huge bourbon drinker, whiskey drinker, like Kristen, might have liked this, possibly just because of the sweetness and the front end. It's definitely more approachable than some of the other things you've had on the podcast.
It's approachable, I think, and it's not. And Nate says ethanol, like, Kristen and some other people are like, oh my God, that tastes like gasoline or whatever. You know what I mean? Just because it's like so much high heat, where this one I don't think has that as much. I'd be interested to try this with a dash of water just to see if it opens it up. I like the flavor. I do. I think by itself, this is a nice sipper. Yeah, thank you. But I do think that this is something that I don't know.
What'd you think of the distillery when you were out there?
I like the story the most because we weren't able to do the tour, so I didn't really get to see a whole lot.
Are they trying to bring back the owner's name with the Nelson brothers? Is that the story that they're trying to retell from Tennessee?
So
is this whiskey or is this bourbon, or does it?
It's whiskey.
Okay.
Well, bourbon, yes. No, technically it's bourbon. This one's interesting. I kind of brought up a little bit of this. It was, and I'm going to kind of butcher this story, but basically, this was the founder. Charles Nelson was the founder of one of the Tennessee's largest pre-prohibition distilleries, and it produced the original Tennessee whiskey. Dates back to 1860.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was something that, and forgive me if you guys know this story better, and I'll share this in a little bit here. Want to see the comments. Bob Brer asked if we can hold it closer to the camera. I'll send you a picture.
I can post a picture on the community page while we're doing it. While you're
go
talking.
ahead. So this is something that, so when he, at some point, and I should have pulled the story. I thought we talked about the story before, but Spencer, this was passed over to his wife back way back, obviously, like around that
Civil War time.
It was, so that was after, yeah. So, but it was unheard of that a woman would own business, let alone a spirit business, right?
Okay.
And so this was something that basically at some point it fell off the business. They whatever, closed it down, sold off, whatever it was. And again, I'm paraphrasing this, but it was trying to fast forward it now. The way they described this is that it was kind of lost, like that part of the family, that side of the family was kind of lost what they used to do. It's almost like not really a proud part of their family. And so this was lost through generations. And then in 2006, two brothers were going with their dad, and they were traveling to, I think, a butcher. And again, forgive me if I'm wrong. Again, this is kind of last minute here as far as doing this. But they came across one of those historical signs, you see on like that kind of like bronzy brown, type of thing. They stopped, and they had gotten out to walk around, and they saw this sign, and they saw their last name. And so they started digging into it, and they found out that this was their great grandfather's distillery.
Awesome.
And so they decided that they wanted to revitalize this brand, and that's where the Greenbrier distillery came back. And they really didn't have, obviously, like their own brick houses. They didn't have any of that stuff. So they started doing their own thing with the Nelson Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey. They started sourcing, like a lot of people do, with the Bell Mead, with the MGP. And they started branding it. And it was in Nashville, Tennessee is where their location is. And Bob Brer did say, he commented that they do have they age on site. They buy barrels from MGP, but they do have an off site now. So he was down there 5 years ago. So it's something that they're growing, right? You see these things growing. The Bell Mead was an old name. When you go into this bar area, they have like these old bottles that they've recovered from like the 1800s, 1900s, and all that stuff. So it's kind of I like the story. It was kind of cool to see the transitions. And forgive me that I don't have all the details from it. Maybe we'll get like just the normal Nelson Brothers classic, and I'll see if I can get one of the guys or someone from the company on to give us a little bit more of the history. Because like I said, the guy doing the tasting, obviously he knew his stuff. They had like a slideshow and everything like that to kind of go through it. It was neat. It's definitely neat. I like the Bell Mead. That's why I got this. This is the first time really having this. So this is all kind of pretty fresh.
Right when you started to go into telling that story, all of a sudden, like, what? Your watches have
they sometimes just they're always listening.
Elon, bro.
No, like all of a sudden what I was tasting kind of hit me. The finish, almost like some scotches, is how the finish is coming across right now.
How so? A
little bit of that peatiness is coming in on the finish for me.
Okay.
You like scotch?
I started with scotch and transitioned to bourbon. I don't like the peaty scotches.
Like smoky scotch?
Not even so much the smoky scotch, which is why I'm not a huge fan of mezcals. Because you were talking about that right before we went live, and not the biggest fan of those. But no, just like I like the flavor of this up front. The finish, I'm not too crazy about.
I think the cigar might be playing a little bit of trick on us.
You think?
Yeah.
Because I barely smoked it so far.
I do. I think with some of the smokiness and stuff like that, because I think the cigar, not that overpowers the whiskey, but there's definitely more flavor, I think, in the cigar than there might be in the bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
I agree. I've never smoked this cigar before, so I didn't know what to expect from it. I've had some cigars from Crux before, but not this one. And I had read some stuff about some reviews about this whiskey, and most of the reviews I said they're basically like, yeah, it's okay.
So I saw you do a little something there with the cigar and the does that do anything one way or another?
Sometimes.
Okay, so it's not like a smoky, doesn't add any smoky.
It's not like having a smoked old fashioned.
Okay.
I mean, it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Looks cool.
Yeah. I really enjoy this cigar, by the way. And it's like a sexy glove. The way it
sexy
looks.
glove.
Yeah, it makes
a
me
love
like
glove.
Yeah, it makes me feel like a race driver or something like that. I don't know. It's just a cool cigar. I'm not that familiar with the brand itself, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that as well.
As Steve relights it up. No, I mean, we've had some of the Crux on. We did the Guild. The Bull and Bear is probably their best seller.
Different label or different logo.
They'll use different color.
wrapper?
They'll use different colors on the bands. They'll have different symbols. Like you can see on this one, you have the DC for Du Connoisseur. The Bull and Bear, obviously, it'll have that logo. They have one. It's a real small cigar called the Skeeter.
Skeet.
It's like a $2-3 smoke, and we also have them in 5-packs. They
It's like a multi-pack,
yeah. They recently changed their labeling and their packaging. Like it used to be, some of the old ones were almost like the like what you would see like some of the MMA shirts.
Affliction?
Yeah, some of the Affliction shirts, like that kind of writing, and then the X
kind
would
of
be
font.
The X would be like 2 swords or a cross.
I made a conscious decision when that was popular in like the 2010s, I guess maybe.
When that
I was like, these aren't going to last. Like there's no way those shirts are going to be.
If you would have gotten in, bought it, and sold, man, you would have.
Remember, like Brothers and Gasworks used
Ed
to
Hardy.
show
Oh.
MMA fights, and people would wear their Affliction shirts to the bar
and then fight.
It was always funny going to
I
the
do
bar to
remember that.
watch UFC fights. You see the guy wearing the Affliction shirt, and then he's got bedazzled jeans.
That means tough in my world. That's just
What world is that?
That's a tough cowboy.
Rhinestone cowboy.
That's a rhinestone cowboy.
I think that's what you're.
I set it up.
That's what you were going for there. Crux, to give a little bit of a history on this one. So this was they had a cigar shop, and then they decided to go off on their own. We did talk about this where it was really interesting, the story. I'd have to go back and
so they had their own individuals, like the Tinder Box or something like that.
well, yeah, like it was brick and mortar.
So theoretically, kind of like BS is starting ish.
So there's some parallels there, but really they dove all in. So the owner of the company,
Casey or Jeff?
Jeff Hagen.
LFA.
Jeff Hagen. So yeah, he was actually befriended the Placencia family, and he went down to their factory and started learning more about this. They actually sent, and again, forgive me, we're kind of all going through this a little bit differently tonight, so this is not the smoothest of podcasts, but basically they sent part of the family up here. We talked about this on a previous episode, and they from Minnesota, they started going all in on this, and they decided to do the Crux line, and it's pretty much family run. Like, so Tony is part of the family. He's our rep. Trying to get him on. He listens to the show sometimes, but we're trying to get him on the show to do some of this stuff. But so far, the travel schedule, he has a little one, and it's just not lined up.
Crux or is the brand DC?
Crux. DC is the Du Connoisseur, which is the name of this blend.
So the brand is Crux. I'll show you a picture to you, Spencer, so you can kind of see what he was talking about with the old branding, if they have it. I know
I can pull up a picture if you want to keep talking about those.
Quite all right.
All right.
Trying to find it here. But the Du Connoisseur was a release from them that was a one size. It was the number one, is what they called it. It was a very thin cigar, is kind of where they were going with this.
How many different size of cigars are there? Are there like 20,
oh my god,
as many as you want. As many as you want.
I mean, they just come up with a name if they come up with.
So the original was a 7.5 by 38. That was the old branding.
Mm-hmm.
So they cleaned it up, they freshened it up. It's all coming in like these white and bright colored boxes. They come in like these 5-packs, like some of the high end, like even Davidoff does that.
Yeah.
So and there are some cutouts on this. It's gold leaf. It's got this really just bright, clean packaging on here. The new Connoisseur, it's from my understanding, it's more for they say like the Connoisseur. It's like the thinner ring gauge, like the Lancero, the cigar nerds, and all that stuff is kind of where we're at with this. So all of this originally came out in a 7.5 by 38.
Ooh, nice.
And that's I think the picture you had there. It was one size only, and then it went away for a little bit. They re-released it more recently. Let's see. In 2021, they re-released this after a 20-month hiatus, and this came out with 4 new sizes, basically. So you had the original, 4 sizes total. You had the original, then you had a couple others. This is what they call the number 4, which is a 5 3/8 by 46, but it is just for the small ring market, is what they say, and they're hoping that everyone enjoys this. I like this blend a lot. I had not had this size. I had the old branded one where it was just that one size. And
more flavor or less flavor out of this size?
Tough to say if it's, like, again, not having it back to back. It's been a while since I smoked the 38 ring gauge, but it just has I think having the thinner ring gauges, this cigar has a lot of flavor.
Yeah. So
I think it's got to have more. So it's almost compact.
Well, with the thinner ring gauge, you're going to get more flavor from the wrapper. With this ring gauge, even though it's only a 46, you're going to have a little bit more of that filler flavor in there because there is more filler tobacco, but this is still a ring gauge that you're still getting most of your flavors from the wrapper.
What's the wrapper?
So it's the Habano wrapper from Jalapa in Nicaragua.
That's why I like it.
And Nicaraguan binder. They don't really disclose that I could find. Fillers from Honduras. So this is coming out of Plasencia. Mm-hmm. Crux uses Plasencia. I mentioned earlier in that real brief synopsis that it was not as clean as the first time I did it several episodes back. But yeah, they have a very tight relationship with Plasencia.
I think I'm a Plasencia fan. I think that's probably why that I enjoy this. I don't know why I enjoy it, but I think it's the wrapper probably mostly is what I enjoy about it.
I like a good Habano wrapper, especially Nicaraguan Habano. For sure.
I was gonna guess Sumatra just because of that kind of red hue this has. I was gonna guess that because to me it's a little bit darker of a Habano than what I'm used to. But I do love Habano tobacco as well because we recently did the Aganorsa Habano, if I'm not mistaken, Steve. We did that one recently. I know we did the Maduro, we did the Corojo.
We didn't do the Habano.
No, Habano was the wrapper because most of their filler is either 98 Criollo or 99 Corojo.
We're talking about Aganorsa.
We were talking about Aganorsa. No. So that's what made me think this may have been a Sumatra because it just seemed a little bit darker.
Okay.
I think aesthetically, it's a beautiful looking cigar, and the color.
You like the packaging, I think.
I saw what the old label looked like, and I would not have bought that cigar.
So yeah, I think it had a little bit of the gimmicky type look of it. Yeah,
in Vegas or something like that. Yeah, just aesthetically, it looks like a Davidoff, looks like a Monte Cristo White. It's just a clean looking cigar.
Yeah,
it's a classy looking cigar.
And you like the flavor, Spencer?
I like the flavor because there's a lot of flavor. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of different notes, and it does change as you start from it versus kind of where it's at now. But I think it's a little bit more compact. The reason I was asking if you guys get more or less flavor from the smaller cigars versus the bigger ones, I get a lot of punch from this little guy. Mm-hmm. Right off the bat, I felt it. And, I do enjoy the bourbon, but I think the cigar might be more the star of the show.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it will as too. I'm looking here at some of the comments now that I got back on here. This cigar, I think it's got a little bit of like cedary spice to it. I don't know if you guys get that at all. It's got a nice in the retrohale. It's got spice, but not like black pepper.
Yeah, more like the food spices, not.
Yeah, it's just it's
and that for me, I get a lot of more woodiness from Honduran tobacco than I do Nicaraguan tobacco.
Okay.
So when you said that this filler is Honduran, that could be where that woodiness is coming from. Because like,
is Honduran more known for wood?
That's from
flavors?
my experience. That's what I get. Because I also smoke a lot of CLE and Aroas, which utilize a lot of Honduran tobacco, and I get more of those woody flavors in that type of tobacco. And obviously I've smoked other cigars with Honduran tobacco as well. But to me, that's the flavor that tends to stand out more with Honduran tobacco versus Nicaraguan or Dominican.
What are the traits in general between Honduran and Nicaraguan? If someone's
Nicaraguan, you're typically
known for something one way or another.
Well, like for example, our second cigar is that Connecticut Nicaragua from Romeo Julieta. That's got a little bit of spice to it. It's all Nicaraguan tobacco. And generally a lot of Nicaraguan cigars, I get more of like the leather type of notes, spice. Honduran, I get more woodiness, earthiness. Dominican, I get more subtle, lighter notes, creamier notes, and stuff like that.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everyone. I mean, you could probably get some of these guys, you know, from say Plasencia. Obviously, they would know better than we do because they smoke that tobacco pure. They know what they're dealing with as far as like the ingredients. I think Nicaraguan generally is going to be known to be a little bit, not fuller or bolder, but I mean, it's with all the volcanic soil. But again, you've got regions there where, again, coming from the Jalapa region, I mean, that's not too far off, right?
We got to do something from Hawaii. All those volcanoes and stuff like that, all that rich soil.
Yeah, I don't know how that would grow out there. Honestly, I don't know what their climate is.
I just saw that they have a volcano. Just assuming that that'd be a lush area.
It's interesting because with especially like Nicaragua, where we're more into that tobacco, I'd say overall, especially Tinder Box. I mean, it's just like kind of been the way it went. But they've got the 4 major regions, and they do taste. They're known for different things. Honduran tobacco, again, it's everything. Seed, it's where it's coming out of, what part of the country it's coming out of. So, I mean, I think I don't want to say Nate's that far off. I think it's kind of you're the broader you go, Honduran and Nicaragua. I mean, you're generalizing a little bit more because within that you got the different seeds, you got the different regions, and so that will definitely impact what you're getting.
Because over the weekend, I actually smoked a couple of Puritos that were left in the shop, and one was coming from Jalapa, another one was coming from Esteli.
Sure,
even though they were the same tobacco strain,
they were different.
I had smoked another one I didn't take a picture of.
No, I was. But yeah, I was given those from Terrence Riley, who was on the show. There was actually 2. One was the Criollo, one was the Corojo.
Yes, and then Todd had another one. I thought it was maybe I could be wrong.
Just not trying to argue. There was 2 different ones. Yeah, but that was like because that's what they use typically.
Yeah,
but you had, I mean, that was that Purito thing, if you will, where you could get this sense of just that absolute ingredient in the blend.
Yeah, because then you smoke a cigar that actually has that type of tobacco in it. And when you're almost searching for that flavor.
Sure. There's a bit of a common theme. Obviously, the Crux do Connoisseur and a lot of their cigars coming from Plasencia, the Romeo Julieta, Connecticut, Nicaragua. That's coming from Plasencia. The BS Gold, who is a sponsor of the show, is coming from Spencer.
Plasencia. Oh, sorry.
He gave you the answer.
I was getting ready to say it right before you said Spencer's name.
I win those like gifts and stuff like that at all the like dinners and stuff. I wait for Nate to yell.
He stands near you.
Yeah, hey, you can't answer.
Spencer, here's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I got signs. I got free cigars. I mean, Jennifer won something from it.
Yeah, I did. Great. I did that at the Espinosa Primer of Dinner.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I got a sign that's.
He cannot sit on his hands. He cannot do it.
No, physically impossible.
It's just you see it. Like Jeopardy, if he doesn't do it, it's probably best he does it, because if not, it's gonna like blow out an eardrum or something like that. You know what I mean?
I've already done that.
Yeah, my point exactly.
I was 6.
It's probably a similar thing.
Which eardrum?
Both.
Really?
While I was sleeping.
That's impressive.
Yeah, my doctors thought so too.
Right.
Impressive, huh? I like I said, I like this cigar. It's coming in around that like 10 to 12, depending on where you're at. It's nothing too crazy expensive, but I mean, it is not the cheapest cigar either for a smaller size. You know, this would be considered by a lot of people
luxury.
No, that's not where I was going with it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say it's not a high end price point. I mean, it's reasonable. Crux in general is I think reasonable. They're average, maybe average plus as far as pricing. But with this coming in at that kind of 11, 12, whatever, I mean, it's not the biggest cigar, but I think the construction on it, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it on. I thought we could talk about it if, again, our previous guest, and I think we might have mentioned it, but our previous guest tonight was going to be Aaron Harris with Green River, not Greenbrier, but he had to reschedule due to family sickness. So we wish them all the best. I don't think he's listening tonight because he's busy, but look forward to having him on. But I thought this might be like just that kind of medium strength, good flavor that I was hoping that something we had not had before, and having a guest that we would hope that this, I hope this would complement or at least go along with it and not overpower something, especially when we had a guest on. What do you guys think of the strength?
I think it's a little bit more medium to full, personally.
Okay.
Just based on, smoking it, I guess. So I actually think that might go
based
better.
on personal experience.
Yeah, based on personal experience in the past 5 minutes. I think that actually this goes better with the 107 proof than what the Green River would have been, which is probably closer to 90, because I think it might have completely overpowered the Green River.
I think it would depend on what the taste profile of that bottle is like. Because
if only we had a way. If only we had a way.
It's tempting. But no, to me, this cigar, medium plus. I wouldn't necessarily put it medium full for me personally. But the flavor, I think there's more flavor to the cigar than strength.
Good way to put it. Agree with you 1,000%. So
yeah.
What do you call the flavor?
Well, so that's the thing. So when you're talking about a cigar and people say, mild, medium, or full, typically when you're asking that question, or they say I like a mild cigar, they're typically referring to the strength of the body of the cigar, how hard the cigar hits. The flavor is another component of the cigar. So you can have you can have full body cigars that are light in flavor. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's even an example of that?
To me, the Joya de Nicaragua Antonio series, like it's a really strong cigar.
So like high
full
bourbon,
body,
but not a lot of flavor.
But there's not a whole lot of flavor. Like it's not a very thick, flavorful cigar for me. But then there are other cigars, I think, where they may be mild to medium in terms of the strength, but the flavor that's there is a little bit more bolder than the strength of the cigar in terms of the body and the nicotine level and stuff like that. It's very difficult to make a mild cigar that's full flavor, because a lot of times, either because the shade grown or the way the fermentation and aging process, like they're aging a lot of that flavor out of the tobacco in order for it to become a mild cigar. That's why a lot of times mild, you'll hear, especially newer cigar smokers, they'll smoke quite a few mild cigars because that's where they'll start. And
more like the second cigar.
We'll talk about that in a second. This one's like mild to medium in terms of the strength of the cigar, but I absolutely love the flavor of this cigar. But a lot of newer cigar smokers smoking mild cigars, to them it just tastes like burnt tobacco. There's not a whole lot going on because there's not a lot of. It's kind of difficult to make a really complex, flavorful mild cigar, because there are certain tobaccos. Because a milder cigar is not going to have much Ligero.
Is this going to be in your top 25 for 2022?
What, my top 5? My top 5 new cigars? No, this isn't.
Okay.
This is the first time I've smoked this cigar, but I don't think this is a new blend from them.
It's not a new blend. Like I said, it was technically, I think 2021 it was reintroduced in multiple sizes.
You sell much of these?
Just brought it on.
Okay.
Just brought it on. Crux is something that, again, they are a smaller company. Tony, love the guy. Every time he's in, he takes the time to sit down, light up a cigar with us, and checks in. First time I met him, he actually had he did his homework coming into the shop, and I was on the patio next door at Fido Irish Pub, and he missed me, missed Brian, but he popped in, and then I think someone said that I was next door on the patio, and I was hanging out with some of the regulars, and he actually did introduce himself, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know about the podcast. Would love to get on there." Like, I mean, he was a very Minnesota, very pleasant salesman, right?
Minnesota,
I mean,
people are nice people, man.
It's one of those things. He is still a salesman. He's gonna ask for the sale. He's gonna, introduce something. If he knows you don't carry it, he's gonna hand you something that you don't carry. He's good like that, but he's not a pushy salesman, right? He believes in the product, obviously, but it is really, really nice that he takes interest, and I hope he does that with all of his clients and potential clients.
Hope so.
But yeah, great. Yeah, Tim Dodge says, I think respectfully, as we all know, Tim's been on the show before, disagrees with Nate. There are plenty of complex, mild, and medium cigars. BS Gold is a fine example. I appreciate that, Tim. I think a lot of times, again, liking Nicaraguan tobacco, not to get too far off on a tangent, a lot of it's what your palate, like what you like, right? So a lot of mild Dominican cigars, some of them I like, some other ones, like a lot of Fuentes basic portfolio, like their core lines, it's just not my thing. You know what I mean? Like, I respect a lot of what Fuente does, but again, they use the Cameroon wrapper on a lot of things, and they use Dominican tobacco. When I see Dominican as the predominant tobacco being used, I'm not necessarily gravitated towards it. I like some cigars that are Dominican puros, but it's not always what I would go to, because I feel as though sometimes there is a stereotype with Dominican cigars that some companies will follow because they sell like fucking crazy.
Hey, I tell you what,
so I mean, yeah. They're not bad cigars, but it's just not what I grew up on as a cigar smoker over the last probably 15 to 20 years. It's just not what I started smoking Padrones, and that was really what got me into it. So
yeah, I'll do it.
So it's those things where it's like, okay, let me try some other stuff, and they're like, they give you some. That's good. I like the other stuff better, but I've tried to get better at it. Nicaraguan tobacco is typically my favorite when that is the predominant tobacco used. No matter what region, no matter what strength, whatever, it tends to agree with my palate the most, and I probably is because that's what I grew up. Not grew up smoking, but grew up as a cigar smoker smoking.
Yeah,
that's where I feel like that's where I really fall in.
I have recently on a golf trip had a few Dominican caddies, and normally we're smoking some cigars on the golf course, and they are very prideful about their cigars.
Oh yeah.
So if that's ever a bucket list thing to go to the DR, I would welcome it. You have?
Yeah, when I worked for LFD.
Yeah.
Okay.
But LFD is one of those. It's a Dominican company, but they utilize so much Ligero. Like, I mean,
it's cool.
That was kind of their. That was kind of their.
I fucking love it.
That was kind of their shtick for a while. It was like, the birthplace of Ligero was kind of their thing, because, like we were talking about, a lot of Dominican cigars tend to be a little bit on the lighter side, or they just hit a little differently. But LFD started utilizing some heavier tobaccos for their cigars, even though they're coming out of the Dominican Republic.
What was your experience over there?
So
stop talking when you see me taking a picture of the bottle, please.
It's a selfie. What was your overall experience in the DR? Like what?
So, where I was at,
that place like?
So, in the DR, I kind of break the DR into two different sections:
the Dominican and the Republic.
Wait, so you got to remember.
Tis the sea.
The Dominican Republic makes up about 2/3 of the island of Hispaniola. So you've got the Dominican Republic and you got Haiti that make up that island.
Okay.
The DR is about 2/3 of the size of the total size. And you have your
Haitian cigars?
Not usually, but the Haitians are the ones that work in the tobacco fields a lot of times.
Got it.
But you have your East Coast Dominican companies. Very touristy areas. That's where you have a lot of the resorts and stuff like that. Where LFD is outside of Santiago, which is more the middle of the island, and that's the capital of Dominican Republic. and it's a little bit closer to Haiti, and it is not as touristy at all.
So I just saw the latest Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
How was it?
It was not as good as the first one, but it was a very good Marvel movie. Actually, the woman
Finally.
the woman is the main star, and they actually go to primarily black places. And Haiti was one of the places where they show that they filmed there. And it looks like there's parts of the country that are beautiful, and then it looks like there's parts of the country that are not so much.
Well, yeah, with Haiti and Dominican Republic, if you're on the coastlines, the beaches, that's where you're going to have the resorts, the beaches, the nice touristy areas. It's usually really safe because that's a big money influx to those economies, is the tourist attractions and the resorts. When you get more towards the middle of the island, that stuff's not as prevalent. I mean, it's
run by gangs.
I mean, it's so going to Santiago. It's pretty close to third world that you're going to get. It's a little bit nicer than Haiti, but it's still close enough and far enough away from the resorts. It's not quite the same. And one of the things that Lito Gomez, the owner and founder of LFD, one of the things that he had to overcome is that terrain, because more in the middle of that island, there's more mountains, and a lot of his farm is in a valley in between the mountains. And a lot of people initially, told him that it wasn't going to work very well being in the, being down in the valley. It would just be too hot for the tobacco. Turned out to actually be a good idea because he gets a lot of the water from the rain, like running down into his farm. And he actually has a couple retention ponds on the property.
So he bought a bunch of property there.
So literally in the mid 90s, Lito went up to his wife, Inez. And if anyone knows anything about LFD, they know Inez, like she's the one running the business. Lito's the name behind it. He's the one making the cigars and doing that stuff. She's the gatekeeper.
Is that the D?
So, at one point he went up to her because Lito was a jeweler by trade. Because he's from here a little bit. He's from Spain. That was his trade.
Smoking LFD while we're at it.
He went up to her. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about if I bought 125 acres of farmland in Santiago and grew tobacco?" She goes, "I think it would be an absolutely terrible idea. Why are you asking me?" He goes, "Because I just bought 125 acres outside of Santiago to grow tobacco."
Gotta have a strong marriage to do that.
But I think though you don't typically like talking about LFD. We might have to actually do an LFD on the show, and we can give a little bit of your background.
I'll do it, and I'll be impartial. Yeah,
it's great.
I'm not going to sit there and shit can the company, but
I didn't think you would.
Don't do that.
I didn't think you would. But where are we going with this Dominican stuff? I didn't mean to cut you off. I just feel like we're going off the LFD route, which I think we should
talk about the different types of tobacco versus like your East Coast tobacco farmers versus like outside of Santiago tobacco farms. Even though it's the same country, different terrain, different soil types, you're going to get
different. Which is kind of what we were referring to when we we're talking about like the four major regions in Nicaragua, the different regions of Honduras.
Cool. So you guys added a couple drips of water to it.
I did.
Did it help? Hurt? Did it do anything?
Nate?
I think the cigar is doing more for the whiskey than the water did. I'd added a few drops of water and it didn't really do a whole lot for me, but smoking the cigar actually kind of makes the whiskey taste a little bit sweeter up front.
Okay.
Like when I was saying earlier, like some honey, like that flavor is a little bit more prominent. Maybe an apple flavor in there as well with it.
So I'm getting more sweetness from the cigar as I'm smoking, by the way. I think so. That's partly some of that wrapper, that Jalapa region Habano. I feel as though sometimes you're going to get a little bit of that. And as I'm getting into the cigar more, I'm getting, I don't know about you guys.
I agree. I thought about that earlier.
Sweetness from the cigar now.
Yeah, that hit me earlier.
I like it. I like the combination as we go on. I like the bourbon a little better. I like the cigar a little better.
And to answer your question about that, adding the water, I did 2 drops in the second pour. I would say it softens up that kind of that dry finish on it. And look, I like a lot of like red wines that have the dry finish.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking over here that, this is something that when Nate was saying something that was like kind of had that young, all that stuff, and the kind of like it was you said harsh, not brash. You said like a little bit like little harshness. I don't think you really were like coming down on, but it's like a little harsh. And for me, I look at it more, and I remember saying it in the beginning of this, is that it's got a little bit like drier finish. It's not bitter. It's just like a little dry. Okay. I like a good
red zin.
I like red zin. I like the drier cabs. I like those things. I like coffees that have that kind of bitter, dry finish. I mean, not necessarily like at the the end of a pot, at Speedway, at 11 o'clock in the morning when they're, no one's really gotten into that coffee pot. I'm not really talking about the sludge side of things. There's still flavor there. I'm saying just that kind of dry, this isn't bitter, but kind of that sensation of something that's bitter. It's got real quick. It's real quick at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not hot. It's just quick.
It's
just quick.
I think that's a good way to explain why you and I are tasting different things on the finish, because you like those drier finish reds. I'm not as big a fan as the drier finish reds.
That would make sense then.
Like when we had Wes on last week with Watershed, we talked about that Pinot Noir finish. And when I picked up that bottle, the lady that works at Watershed in the marketing department, like she asked me what kind of reds I typically drink, and I do drink cabs, but I like some of the cabs that are a little sweeter on the and a little bit more rounded on the finish. So she gave me the Pinot Noir finish bottle.
Right.
I picked up for you the red zin bottle, and you like the red zin finish. I like the Pinot finish, but that makes sense because we do like those types of wines.
I thought that the red zin would be a little sweeter than the Pinot.
It wasn't. The Pinot actually had a little bit, like a little bit more of those darker fruit flavors, whereas the red zin was a little bit more like earthy flavors.
And I like both, honestly. I mean, it is. So I think people have preferences of what they like more and all that. But I mean, I like both. I was looking at this. The reason I was explaining that to everyone is that's how I start as we're getting into this more. Is that's how I'm comparing this. This is something that. So if I, to walk you through, Spencer, you and I used to do like the steak dinners with some of the guys and stuff like that. We usually have a cocktail beforehand, right? Or 2 or 3, depending on how long it was for the table. Have a cocktail. Like you always like the Woodford Manhattans. I remember I would do like an old fashioned, which is a little sweeter sometimes. But we'd get some red wine typically with the steak. Still what we do. I know you do that, Nate, with your steak dinners on Sundays. Chris and I like to do it on Mondays, but it's something where I appreciate both sides of it. This is something that if I had a nice steak dinner and had a little bit of like the drier cab is like what we ordered for the table. Hadn't had it before. Let's do a cab, and you do that. Full body, little dryness. This is something that if I'm going to continue the night, I might get this as my after dinner whiskey.
Okay.
Because it's like I'm kind of like just cruising now at that kind of that the flavor profile that I've been cruising at most of the night. Yeah, it's a sipper. It's nice. It's a little higher proof. It's not going to really like set you back and make you feel it, but it's just a little bit more there. And again, I like that kind of has that little bit of sweet in the beginning, like you were talking about, maybe some fruit notes, but it's like more like a sweet, but then it just ends with that dryness, which it's not for everyone. But I can appreciate it for sure.
Do you recall when you were at the distillery which one you liked?
Well, again, this wasn't out when I was at the distillery. I enjoyed. I really, when I was there, and oddly enough, in Tennessee, it was. I liked the fact that I bought a bottle at the distillery, and I bought one for my neighbor, right? Which is one of the reasons it's that same thing with, you're on vacation, you're smoking cigars, blah, yada, yada, yada.
Best one you had.
This is why when I saw it, when I was in Chicago not too long ago, I saw that they had the Nelson Brothers. It hadn't hit the market here in Ohio, to my knowledge, or I hadn't seen it. I like the Bell Mead Reserve. That's my favorite. So this, I'd like to, while Bell Mead's still available in Ohio, I'm probably going to pick up another bottle of that if we crush this tonight, I'll probably get another bottle of this and have them both on the bar, because it does bring up
side by side.
It does bring up one of those memories early on in Kristen and Mai's relationship that this holds a memory. I'm not biased when I'm gonna rate this, but it's like I'd like to have those on the bar. And if Belle Meade goes away or it's only available in Tennessee, we go back down to Nashville at some point, which I assume we will.
Get some good Mexican.
Get some good Mexican in Nashville.
That was Louisville that we did that.
Yeah, but no, we had good barbecue and we had good food all around. But yeah, so that's that. I remember what I liked the most was the Belle Meade Reserve. This was not an option on there. They have some very cool finishes. What I was going to say is that it was like $5 more at the distillery. We went to a what is that? McDougal's. We went to McDougal's down, which is kind of like the Benny's down in Nashville. Frugal McDougal's, and they had it, but it was like $5 less, right? So, but they had their own barrel pick. They did all that stuff. It's a cool story. I think they're still figuring it out. I think this is we're able to experience the growth of this distillery and what the brothers are trying to do with it, and I can appreciate that they are really going all in, and now they're putting their name on it, as opposed to doing the Belle Meade thing, which was another cool story because the two horses there's a story behind that on the Belle Meade bottle as well. So as always, there's a story. Crux, it's a crossroads that he was at in life. And that's why it's called Crux, which means the cross, right?
No,
so
I just picked up a bottle of Kentucky Spirit.
Yeah.
Because and it's in the new bottle, but that was the first bottle that I had on the podcast a few years ago. I was like, I gotta get that just because that was my first memory of that. So it is all about the memory and kind of where you had it first and stuff like that.
It'll bring you back,
And if I ever see Nelson Brothers at a bar or something like that, yeah, because it does bring back the memory of it.
Yeah.
I think this would also be one, like, as they develop with their own brand and stuff, I'd be curious to see, like, if they start doing stuff that's 100% their own distillate, and just see how they progress when in terms of their
100%. I think this is a stepping stone right now with what we're dealing with here, and so I think again, it'd be something to. We'll get to the ratings here in a quick second. It's fun to see the history there. Like I said, if you're in the Nashville area, I know I already said this. If you're in the Nashville area and you're a whiskey drinker, check them out. Cool gift shop, cool bar. I'm sure the tours are doing well now. Bob Brer, who was on several episodes with Spencer earlier on in the podcast, he was down there 5 years ago. He's the bourbon guy, right? He's the bourbon guy. He's dialed into the whole community. It'd be interesting to see him go back down if he's in Nashville. Someone like that is this more of like pushing that elite level, in my opinion, of bourbon to stop back by there and see where they're at with a different mindset of what they're doing. And it would be cool if a person like a Bob Brer or some of you guys out there that know a lot of the Kentucky guys and distilleries to shoot the shit with these guys over some bottles. So that is a goal. I'll say that right now. I'm going to reach out to them as we get further down the road in 2023 and see if we can get them on remotely and maybe even get someone like Bob Brer on the show where, again, that elite side of things and have that Kentucky bourbon versus the Tennessee whiskey type thing. And that'd be a good conversation, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah. That being said, at the bottom of the screen, if you guys are listening live or if you're listening on the podcast apps after the fact, we hope that you guys, you're not going to do the Patreon, or if you do the Patreon, if you do the Venmo thing, but at the very least, I hope if you're enjoying it, you're getting something from it. This is relaxing you on your drive while you're doing what you're doing in the house, whatever it might be. If you guys are enjoying the conversation any week that you're listening to the show, please share, like, comment, review, and subscribe on all the formats that you guys are on. We'd love to get things. I don't know how the algorithms work. Tonight was a primary example that even someone that posts the podcast, I didn't get a Facebook notification. So never can rely on it. So make sure if you guys are interested and you want to get more people involved in the conversation, or if you want to make sure you're getting notified, subscribe, turn on the notifications and all that good stuff. That's where we end up. Part one, though, this is the more typical as it can be. Bourbon and cigar reviews. We talk about that in the first part, and this is how we round it out. We do the ratings, right? So it's 10 being the best. We do 3 ratings: the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing. So Spencer, I'm going to start with you. The whiskey tonight, for all of you out there that are just tuning in, I just saw Ray Cheshire, who's a regular listener to the show. He chimes in here. He just was watching now. Nelson Brothers. This is the reserve bourbon, and it's coming in at 107.8. And that's the whiskey. The cigar is the Crux du Connoisseur. And then we're going to do the pairing. So 3 ratings out of 10 being the best. Spencer, how about you?
All right, I'll start with the bourbon first. I think the bourbon has grown on me the more that I've had it, and as it's kind of, I don't want to say mellowed out, but as I've gotten a little bit more used to the palate, I go 8.25 on the bourbon itself. I think for 107, it doesn't drink like a 107, which I'm okay with, like I said earlier.
Lighter or heavier?
I think it's lighter than 107. The dryness, I definitely feel a little bit, but I enjoy that sweetness in the beginning. I like the sweetness. I like the honey. I like how smooth it is. I would go back to this. I know we're anticipating something different when we first started the podcast, so I don't want to be jaded towards this bottle, because I know this was a special bottle that you picked up in Chicago. But 8.25 on the bottle itself. On the cigar, this is one of my more enjoyable cigars that we've had on the podcast. I know we've had a bunch of them. But on the cigar itself, I'm going to go a 9 on the cigar. Nice. I really like the aesthetics of the cigar. I really like the flavor, which I would say medium plus flavor, if that's something that you all say, medium to full body. But it's a really enjoyable cigar. Again, I really kind of view it first with my eyes, and my eyes were saying this is going to be something that I definitely want to smoke. Combination wise, I'm not sure how much they go together themselves, but in saying that, I like the cigar. I like the bourbon. I think they both stand alone, but I think that's the cigar, because I enjoy the cigar so much, has enhanced the flavor of the bourbon for whatever that's worth. I'll go 8.5 on the combo.
Sure.
Yeah. So, overall random selection, but good choice overall.
Nice. Nate, how about you?
Russian judge.
Thank you, Spencer. For the whiskey, I'm at a 7 on it. I
had a feeling that was going to be that.
It's a good sipper. It, like I said earlier, it does punch below its proof. It doesn't drink like 107. But it's also a $60 bottle in the state of Ohio, I think.
Yeah.
Is
So
that good or bad for you?
Well, I don't have any problem spending $60 on a bottle. I don't think, though, that for $60, this bottle really stands out that much in terms of what all's out there on the market. It's a good bottle. It's a good sipper. There's just not much about this bottle that stands out and wows me.
Forgettable?
No, I don't want to say forgettable. I don't want to say forgettable. I'd be interested to try the classic to see how that compares to this.
I think it's 93 something.
I think it's 93.3 proof.
Yeah.
I'm also interested to see how this whiskey goes with our second cigar.
Sure.
Because I do agree with Spencer. I think this cigar is a little heavier than this whiskey. I think it maybe overpowers it a little bit. I'm kind of on this. So 7 on the whiskey. Cigar, I'm an 8.5 on the cigar. I do enjoy it. I'm a little backwards of Spencer. I think the cigar has more flavor than body. I think it's more medium plus on the body, but medium full in terms of the flavor intensity.
Yeah.
I do like it. The retrohale, Steve, you alluded to it earlier. It's not like a pepper spice. It's more food flavors through the nose.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who's not that common with retrohaling or taking the smoke through your nose, this isn't necessarily one that's going to make your eyes start watering because it doesn't have that pepper to it. But it does have an enjoyable sensation through the nose with the flavor that's there. The pairing, I give the pairing an 8. I think this cigar brings out more sweetness and kind of softens the finish on it a little bit and kind of elevates this whiskey. So I think even though I'm not a big fan of the whiskey, I do like this whiskey with this cigar.
Okay.
Because this cigar is actually making what I like about this whiskey more prominent, and it's also lessening what I don't like about the whiskey.
That's complicated.
I got it. I understood.
The relationship is complicated.
It's a complicated man.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, 2 languages.
Yep.
Russian.
The whiskey, I'm going to give it an 8. I'm kind of with you guys. It's to a point, right? So I like this bottle. I'll put it this way. I wanted to like it more because of what I remember Bell Mead Reserve.
Your affinity to the brand.
Not just that. No. I'm just saying. I had Bell Mead. In fact, one of the first times I had Bell Mead, Spencer may remember the visit, but you had a Bell Mead. I think it might have been the Reserve. One of the first times I was at the house. How long have you lived there?
Close to 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So it's probably been 3, 5, 4 years ago. I mean, it was before COVID, I believe. I was over at the house. And Bell Mead Reserve was on your bar, in your kitchen.
Bob Brer actually gave me, or I bought that bottle from him.
I don't think it was a barrel pick. I think it was just the Reserve. But
yeah.
I mean, I remember having. I was like, man, I've seen it. I haven't had it. I remember that. So I was like, this Bell Mead thing. Between the first time over there, having some cocktails, or not cocktails, but some pours with you, and then obviously going down there, I wanted to like this more. The dry finish, I do like. I don't like it all the time. So that's where I'll give this an 8. I think it's worth trying. I'm excited to see where this goes. I would definitely buy it again. That is something, and I'm not just biased because of what I said earlier about, going down there with Kristen. That was one of our first trips together. That there is a little bit of that, the euphoria, the utopia
nostalgia
type thing, and nostalgia. Yeah, the memories, right? But yeah, so I'll give it an 8. The cigar, I'll give it an 8.5. I think this is a very flavorful blend.
Have you guys given a 10 on a cigar?
I believe we have, but so 8.5 on this. I think that the cigar is good. Not my favorite. It's up there with the Bull and Bear from Crux. I think this is a solid cigar. I'm excited to smoke it in different sizes. I think this is the first time I've smoked it in this size. I had if you call it a Lancero, the original size, when Tony from the family, who was is the rep in this area, he did give it to us. I'm happy that we brought it on at Tinder Box at Easton. It is available, as is the Bull and Bear. So yeah, I think this is just I don't want to kind of go over what you guys already said. Tons of flavor. I already said I like the woody spice to it. It's really, really pleasant, and it's got a ton of flavor.
Deal on this one?
What's that?
Deal on this one?
Sure. If you're listening to the podcast between now and next week on Wednesday, if you guys, hopefully, if you're watching live, if you come in and you're listening on the podcast app, I'll get it up. If you come in and mention the Bourbon and BS podcast at Tinderbox at Easton, we'll give you a 15% off this cigar. So hopefully you guys give it a shot and try it out. If you and that's even more reason to watch the show, is that you get a deal most of the time. So cool. I'm not going to publicize that, put it out there. I think Brian will have my head if I do that every week. So the pairing, it goes well. I mean, it's not bad. I think this isn't really bringing out much. You guys got a little bit more from each of the whiskey or the cigar. You think, I think it goes well. I think this is a enjoyable pairing. It's a lot of flavor, I think, on both sides. I would kind of go beyond what you guys said with the whiskey. I don't think it really brings out a ton from the other one. I think it stands up to the other, and I really think that you're getting a lot of flavors. We could do a better pairing with the cigar. We could do a better pairing with the bottle, and I don't know exactly what it would be. This isn't a 10 out of 10 pairing. So I'll give the pairing also an 8, because I think it goes just fine together.
That's a good way to put it.
I would do it again.
It's solid.
I mean, honestly, you guys came over again. We're sitting nice, the spring comes around. We're sitting on the patio. I'm like, hey, guys, all I have is the Nelson Brothers Reserve, and I got these two Connoisseurs. You're like, I assume both you're going to be like,
if you say that's all you have, I'll probably say, yeah, I'll take it.
whatever's free.
Yeah.
Take 6
Slitzes.
Slitzes.
We were all thinking the same.
Liter of cola.
Open bar, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give it an 8. I think this is pleasant. And I don't think many people have had the cigar and this bottle.
I think we're the only ones in history.
Probably that paired it for sure, especially as recent as this bottle came out. So yeah, it was good. I'm pleased with the curveball. I mean, hopefully we get Aaron on from Green River soon in January. We're booked up through the end of the month right now, but let's get him on hopefully in January, February. We can go over that, and we'll have a different cigar obviously that night, and we'll see how that goes together. But with that being said, I mean, we'll round out part 1. Hopefully you guys stay tuned. If you're listening on the audio podcast, make sure you click over to part 2. I want to thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Again, 15% off the Dew Connoisseur this week. So mention that if you're in the shop or if you're ordering online, not online, on the phone. We'll honor that if you mention Bourbon and BS podcast. You heard it on the show. And again, the Nelson Brothers is fantastic. Altadis USA, we're about to light up when we get to it. The Romeo y Julieta, Connecticut, Nicaragua. Hopefully you guys have tried that. If not, definitely check it out. Definitely a killer. Also from Placencia. These are coming from the same company. And then Be a Cigar Company. You guys at patreon.com, and also those that have contributed on Venmo. And again, the buyjack.com hoodies, 3/4 sleeves, the t-shirts, order them tonight, and hopefully Buyjack can get them there for any gifts that you may want to give others or yourself for whatever holiday you guys celebrate. So cheers, guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Stay tuned for part 2. Not sure where it's going to go. I'm going to rely on Spencer for this one.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season. Cheers, guys.
Well, I think it's interesting. We were all pretty close on pairing. We were all pretty close on cigar. It was the whiskey where we had the widest variety between the three of us.
I had a feeling you're going to do a 7.
It's interesting. Dave Gordon, who's a good listener to the show, thanks, Dave. He said, never heard of the bourbon until today. It appeared as a top 10 bourbon of the year. I said, what list? He said, Whiskey Advocate.
Wow.
Another one on Whiskey Advocate that I saw, who's same company as Cigar Aficionado, I believe.
Yeah.
Was the Barrel Vantage.
Yeah, that we just had recently.
We just had the bourbon, the Barrel Craft Spirits, the Vantage,
which is their newest core
which unfortunately
release.
I there was that much left and I finished it. I shared one pour, but I also finished it.
Yeah, we had Lindsay on from Barrel Craft Spirits.
So that was on there. So it's cool to see that. So obviously some people are appreciating some of these bottles that we have on here. So that's great. And Jim says, I haven't seen the cigar in the Cleveland area. I don't know if they have Crux, but again, this is more of a recent line expansion after the Dew Connoisseur was not there. So if your brick and mortar carries Crux cigars, maybe mention something and see if they're going to bring on the Dew Connoisseur in one or more of the 4 available sizes. Yeah. Shannon, you out of here?
Yes, sir.
All right. We had Shannon Chapman back in the garage tonight. Hopefully we'll get him back on the show here soon.
Yeah, dude.
Before he leaves out west.
He'll be out somewhere on some, hopefully decent shitty signal out there. We'll get him on remotely from wherever he's at. We'll check in where he's cutting hair.
Absolutely.
So,
All right, boys, be good.
all right, Shannon, we'll see you later. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Got everything?
Yep.
All right, bub.
So I'll say this again when Spencer comes out. But actually, you and I have never rated a cigar a 10.
Just the bottle.
Just a bottle.
Okay.
Yep. Do you remember what your highest rated cigar?
No, I don't.
Now, I don't want to say, but there may have been a little bit of bias when you gave this rating.
The BS?
No, it was the
Signature.
The Perdomo 10th anniversary.
Oh, we had Nick
Maduro.
on. We had Nick on.
We had Nick the Third on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was besides Laurel, that was one of the.
That's the second highest rated or viewed episode.
Yeah.
On at least on Facebook. on YouTube, I believe the highest rated one, it may be that one. I'd have to check the numbers, but I think if it wasn't that, I think the highest rated one on YouTube was actually when we had Bourbon and Blondes on the first time.
Okay. Yeah. So going back to this, and it's funny, Kristen saying that it's funny that like this bottle is getting very, very highly rated. And even in this one that she sent me on drinkhacker.com, given these whiskeys suspicious, quote, bottled by, end quote, labeling instead of distilled by or produced by, is their source. And then he cuts it all out and he even says, update, September 2022. The brand has since clarified that these are indeed source whiskeys, including stock from Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana. So again, I think this is a growing period for a lot of, for these folks there. They gave it a 9.5 on the that's the classic. So that means even the classics get it a 9.5.
Did you look at the flavor notes for this bottle on the Nelson Greenbrier website?
I think I did.
So on the nose, on their official website, on the nose, they say cherry, maple syrup, sweet mint, and cinnamon roll.
Okay.
On the palate, caramel, allspice, cherry, and hazelnut.
Okay.
On the finish, earthy, cocoa, allspice, and cherry cobbler.
They can fuck off. Cherry cobbler.
Spencer, we
What's
were talking.
allspice?
Steve and I have actually never rated a cigar a 10. The highest we've ever rated a cigar is a 9.5. And
what was that one?
And it was different cigars. For Steve, it was the Perdomo 10th Anniversary Maduro.
That sounds like a fantastic cigar.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was the Monte Cristo 1935 Anniversary.
Which is your favorite?
Which is my favorite cigar.
What did Steve rate that one?
I think he gave that I think he gave that a 9.
Yeah.
I think he gave that a 9.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Like, we've also there have been very few bottles where we've given 10s, very, very few. But there's actually been some pairings that we've given very, very high ratings, including a 10 too.
Nate, I'm going to say this sounds fucking horrible. I'm not sure what we're talking about there, but Ray says that.
I think
maybe what you're
when I was reading their flavor notes.
It sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah. Before we go into part 2, while we're in the intermission here, so obviously you guys are hearing this, but it won't be on the podcast. Apps. It's interesting, and Nate, I think right now people are used to drinking certain bottles. They're used to smoking certain cigars. Feel like it I'm not saying you're not objective with all this stuff, but I will say in the last couple months, I would say the majority of your pleasure drinking has been Watershed, and it's different mash bills, different things that they're doing. I think people do get used to certain types of, even though Watershed here locally has so many different expressions. Yeah. I think, once you start expanding out again and you're trying the different ones, it's going to be a little bit of shock, right? If you're staying with it, like if all you did was drink some like the Bell Meads and Nelson, the Greenbrier, and some of these things that they're putting out, and you really are like loving this, and then someone like on the flip side says, hey, try this, you might like it, but you're like, it's not really what I'm
brand loyal
enjoying. But it's brand loyal. But it's the same thing with a lot of cigars. There are sometimes where like the master blender on a cigar, and I'm like, it's good, it's just not my palate. And whoever's in charge of blending this, they have a different palate than me.
What is your palate?
No, I'm just your own. I'm saying this generally.
What do you go towards?
I explained it. I was like, with the cigars and stuff,
yeah.
I like a lot of Nicaraguan tobacco, and so a lot of the stuff that Crux puts out, a lot of Plasencia products I do like a lot of people do, whether or not they know it's from Plasencia. But there's some Plasencia stuff that I don't like. Their Campo. I'm not a huge fan of the Campo. I mean, it's just not my cup of tea. But there are certain brands that I think you find sometimes that you like a lot of their products, and it's most likely because you probably enjoy something similar to what their master blender, their master distiller, whatever their goal is. You know what I mean? Like with like Wild Turkey products. I like a lot of their stuff. I like a little bit more spice.
Yeah, nothing's at the bar 101.
Right?
Yeah.
You got some Old Forester I've been enjoying a lot.
yeah.
You know, a lot of the Elijah Craig. I said it recently on the show. I've had the opportunity to try a lot of Elijah Craig single barrels, Old Forester single barrels. I feel safe with those because whatever their mash bill is, whatever they're putting out, even if it's, you know, something like we had Amy on from McClellan's Pub in Columbus, Ohio. I liked, you know, the fact that if they sent me 4 samples, I'd be pretty sure I'd be able to pick something out. Watershed locally is one that I like. Between Watershed and High Bank, I like what I've had from them. I've liked some of their one-off projects or single barrels or whatever it might be. There's other distilleries in town that I've liked some of their stuff, but I'm not going to like go out of my way to get their stuff because I haven't liked it all. New Riff you had a little bit of that from Ryan
I don't
Newman.
know if
New Riff is so hit or miss.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pony up my money just to try something new from him. But if like Spencer, you brought over a New Riff, I'm going to give it I'll take a pour.
People do bring you New Riff and you don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, I was
not
at
to single them out. I'm just saying, as an example, this is where
I'm
going
with you on the Elijah
cigars
Craig.
are the same way.
Yeah, I was at Evan Williams earlier this year and did the tour and did everything like that, and love Elijah Craig. Just good stuff.
I think it's funny you mentioned me liking so much Watershed stuff. Most of what I've been drinking at home is not been Watershed lately.
Most of what you're posting online is Watershed.
Yes, but most of what I've actually been drinking at home has been the very old Barton 86, the Dove or the Barrel Craft Seagrass. I just finished.
I'm surprised you don't like this higher rye. I mean, go ahead.
I just finished the Western Reserve 4-year rye, Ezra Brooks 99,
Western Reserve,
and the Traverse City North Coast rye. Like that's what I've been.
I'm surprised you didn't like this because I do get a little bit more of that rye from
this. Is a high rye.
Yeah, I get it.
But then again, I did not like the Redemption high rye bourbon.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that. I liked that rum finish more. But we had Jake on remotely, and he liked the high rye bourbon more than the rum finish, and I was the other way around.
Right.
What are your thoughts on High West?
High West, hit or miss. Midnight Dram's fantastic.
My guess is you don't love the campfire.
It's been a while since I've had the campfire.
Well,
it's been a while since I've had the campfire.
Scotch.
Very peaty.
The bourbon was all right, which is a blend of 2 different bourbons. I just haven't had much of the High West, but there are some I prefer over others.
Okay,
gotcha.
I even bought a bottle and took that to the last
Bullets and Bourbon.
Bourbon and Bullets, yeah.
It's a tall bottle.
Should be called Bullets and Bourbon.
Bullets and it is Bullets and Bourbon.
Okay.
Yes.
If it's Bourbon and Bullets, that's recipe for disaster.
Yeah, other way around.
You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 249, part 2. This is Beyond the BS. This is where we kind of just let the night take it away.
Oh, that tone and that soothing voice. Yeah, Jesus. I know a lot of people.
Welcome back to Smooth Jams. Steve's Garage. This is 104.9.
I'd like to have
the
Casey
river.
Kasem on here.
It's nice rain going on in the area.
It's foggy.
Foggy. Hope you guys are close to the ones you love. With the how far do you want to keep going?
Don't cut your finger, Spencer.
I will try.
Beyond the BS, we
5 years.
We pick a somewhat of a life topic. It's sometimes difficult. Sometimes it's relevant to the time of the year, something going on in someone's life, or just we try to steer clear of the more current events, just because those rabbit holes can get a little deep. But I didn't have a topic tonight, and Spencer says 'tis the season.
And Nate goes, I was about to say that.
And he's like, have you done that? And I said, well, I mean, not directly.
Only every year during the season.
Every year. So before I let these guys take it away, I just want to thank our sponsors, obviously for part 1 and part 2. It's obviously you guys, patreon.com/BourbonandBS podcast or Venmo @BourbonandBS. Those are ways you guys can contribute to the show. We appreciate that. we don't get paid for this. We enjoy doing it. We know several of you enjoy doing this as well, and are with us, and I can appreciate that. Spencer is one of the loyal followers on the podcast apps. He travels for his job a lot, so he listens on 1.5 or 2 or 8.
Something where
and
it's
then
not
he texts me,
slow
he's like,
jams.
I liked it. Cool.
It's not like you can change it after you post it.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we appreciate those contributions. You guys are amazing. The continued support from everyone definitely helps out for sure. And then also Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. If you guys are not local to a brick and mortar, that's your shop local-ish, as Ryan Jones said, who's a loyal follower of the show. Tinder Box at Easton carries the featured cigar this week, which is the Crux du Connoisseur. We gave a review in part 1, so if you're just tuning in or you're listening to the podcast apps, click over to part 1, and we talked about that, as well as the Nelson Brothers Reserve Bourbon, which is a new release from Greenbrier, and just check that out as well on part 1. But I also want to thank Altadis USA. You guys have lit up the Romeo y Julieta, Connecticut, Nicaragua. We featured it. We've smoked it in part 2 a lot. This is another Plasencia product that is a solid, very flavorful, mild to medium cigar. So hopefully this will be a nice way to round out the evening. We didn't really amp it up tonight. And also Be a Cigar Company. The gold is also made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa Cigars. And if you're looking for yourself or others, buyjack.com/bourbon&bs. That's where you get some of the swag. I'm wearing the Barrelhead Bourbon and BS hoodie, black camo. We got the black hoodie, the blue hoodie. Got shirts on. Spencer's got the focus on the silver lining, the black and silver.
Big ass
Nate's
label.
got the pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. The BS logo, if you guys have never had the BS and you're interested in why it is BS, it's literally for Brian and Steve. Brian's the owner of the Tinder Box at Easton. My name is Steve. And we blended that with Plasencia and Espinosa. The actual crest on the band is a combination of our family crest. So a little bit of the identity there, a little bit of a story there, which is nice. That being said, tis the season. Spencer, what are we talking about tonight?
So the reason I did tis the season. So I've walked into this place. It's got to be. So this is close to 25. So that basically means that I'm on almost one of every 10-ish episodes.
We're
getting there. But I walked into your house. I saw the beautiful Christmas tree, the stockings hanging, and drove through your neighborhood. You got a wild neighbor across the street.
That's Matt. Yeah,
that's Crazy Matt with his crazy lights.
Yep. We're
But
doing a neighbor happy hour on Friday too.
are you?
Yeah,
Are you going?
it's at my house, so I think I'll attend.
Yeah, you should go.
I might be late depending if we're busy at the shop.
Yeah,
but
just have some charcuterie out for the people.
That's Kristen's
Kristen will
job.
make sure of it.
Yeah. But the
This
reason
shows up in the morning. I wake up and there's a charcuterie board. I don't know what's going on.
it's a nice little life you've set up for yourself here if that's what you wake up to.
Because we grew up with Lunchables. So
Yeah,
that's why
I was
charcuterie
at
boards are so
my
popular.
buddy's hunting cabin, and my girlfriend got some jerky and a bunch of turkey sausages, and we were just handing those out like rural charcuterie.
I love it.
But you need to have the change of pace. We go from Thanksgiving to the holidays to New Year, and it's what you make of it, right?
Okay.
That
Yeah.
month and a half, it's really what you make of it. Some people look forward to it, some people don't. But I like the fact that it's a different season. It's
Sure.
truly a different season
Sure.
going from, Thanksgiving to New Year's, and then it rapidly kind of goes into, oh my God, we're 2023 pretty quickly. So when I was saying 'tis the season, I got a whole different vibe when I walked into your house tonight. I walked in,
I
you
don't normally have trees in my living room.
don't normally have trees. Definitely have the dog greeting you, but it's just all right. This is the time of year, whether the weather's 50 degrees outside or, I was wearing my long johns because I didn't know if it was going to be 30 or 50 in
It's
here.
not too bad.
It's not too bad, but 'tis the season, and it's just I've just made a conscious choice to embrace it. You drive through Easton. I take my Uber over. You see the lights and stuff like that, and even if you don't celebrate the holidays, it's just a nice way to kind of break up the year into different types of compartments. So
Can I introduce this part of it? I mean,
Sure.
Spencer, you are Jewish.
I'm aware.
No, I know. I'm saying that for everyone else, but it's interesting to hear you say that stuff. Not because Jewish. It's just the fact that you say you choose to embrace it is, I think the Christmas season or the holiday season, however you phrase it, I think there should be, and there is more of this inclusive side of it, is that, yeah, you come into anywhere, Easton, you come into my house, you see a Christmas tree, right? Sure. There's no, I'm not trying to be funny here. There's no menorah. There's not like, I'm not being inclusive to, anyone that comes into the place, I think there was a time before all the things that we went through recently in the last 5-10 years, right? Where it was all about like making sure you didn't hurt anyone's feelings.
5 to 7 years.
This was the season that the most drama in the U.S. and the Midwest was, how dare you say Merry Christmas to me, even if you were.
I think that's a made up thing.
It's not. I mean,
it is.
No, in the service industry, that was a thing where
you just say Happy Holiday.
You're supposed to say Happy Holidays, right?
That's what I say to people, just because I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'm saying I'm not trying to make a dramatic point here. I'm saying that was the first more recent thing before the phase we were in. Not the first thing about being inclusive of all this stuff, but that was the whole thing. Is like, how dare you assume when you say Merry Christmas, there were people that Yelp was around, that people were starting to really comment on some of this stuff where it's like, you said Merry Christmas, you should say Happy Holidays. And it's like, then there was this whole, well, I'm going to say Merry Christmas. There was a little bit of a pushback, butting heads about all this stuff. On the other side of what's happened in the more recent years, I feel like people don't give a fuck. They're just like, yeah, this is a good time of the year.
Yeah, it's a good time of the year. It's
hopefully, it's memories are.
When I hear anyone say that, I just think that they are celebrating the season. If someone says Merry Christmas to me, I'll say it back. For me, obviously, I think that's the vocal minority.
As much of this is, yes,
right. As much as this is, and that's who gets the. Not the press, but just, all right, we're taking a small percentage of people that are the loudest voices that make that. But no, it's a happy season. Who doesn't like looking at lights? Who doesn't like doing that stuff? When I grew up, our best family friends were the Monachinos, not, a Jewish last name.
It doesn't sound like a Jewish family.
So they, it's Italian family, Italian Catholic family. And every year we would decorate their Christmas tree and we would light the menorah with them, because my family and their family were best friends, and we would celebrate their holiday and they'd celebrate our holiday. And that's it. But when I drive through the neighborhood and stuff like that, when I see lights and things like that, it's a joyous feeling. There's no, oh my God, they don't believe exactly what I believe. It's a joyous, hey, we're in celebration. This is a family time. This is a time to celebrate whatever you're celebrating, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, things like that.
Yeah.
It's a joyous thing. It switches it up from wherever we were before. But, it's when I say embrace it, I want to embrace all the family shit you got to do. I want to embrace all the friend stuff. Every night over the past month, and I'm not, I know Nate, you got family near and far, but it's every weekend I got something, every night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I got something going on, whether it's for me or whether it's for somebody else.
Sure.
And you can either be like, oh man, I got this stuff to go to, or, all right, let's embrace it. Like, let's make the best out of it. Don't hide from it. Be there.
Frame of mind.
Yeah. Be present with it. Enjoy it while they're there. There's no advantage to not enjoying it. You're only hurting yourself by, going into it. Hey, it's stressful, or my aunt's doing this, my uncle's doing that. Go into it with a positive mindset, and you'll get whatever you put out into it. If you go into it looking into Christmas party or happy hour, that, hey, this is going to be a good experience, versus, hey, my happy hour is going to be a lot of work. I got to put a lot of food. I got to clean up. I got to drive here. I got to drive there. You'll get that experience out of it. So when I say embrace, I'm really talking about embracing everything that goes along with the holiday season, not just the gifts, not just the family, not just the food, but just enjoy it. Like, this is a good time of year.
Why do you think people don't embrace it?
Well, I'm sure it brings up, I can't say
to you too.
Yeah. For myself, I'm sure it's the travel aspect to it. I'm sure it's dealing with family that you don't want to deal with. But I just saw a terrible Christmas movie. It was Merry Friggin' Christmas was the name of it. It was
with Bill Murray.
Robin Williams' last movie in 2000. It's
Bill
not
Murray's Scrooged.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
I love Scrooge.
Scrooge is a great movie.
Watched it the other night. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's you can either, hey, we gotta spend time with our family, or hey, I get to spend time with my family, and let's just when you walk in that door, you can bitch and moan on the drive there, but when you're there, these are your people.
Sounds like the movie Four Christmases.
Yeah, you can't choose your family.
Love that movie. We just watched that also.
Yeah, you can't choose your family.
Christian just texted me. I'm sure Fat Man will come up. Good night.
There's a reason it hasn't become a classic.
It's recent.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, it came
Oh,
out.
You think
It's
gonna,
bad
you think,
timing. I think it came out.
It'll catch on.
I think it came out in 2020. It didn't hit
It'll
the
go
theaters.
Elf, Fat Man, A Christmas Carol. I did see a
Christmas Vacation.
I did
and
see
Christmas
a Christmas
Carol.
Carol, the most recent A Christmas Carol.
We've already talked about it. I'm not a Christmas Carol fan. I never
Did you
got
see the
into
most
it.
recent one?
I didn't. I've never watched start to finish the Christmas Carol.
Well,
A Christmas Carol. Is it?
it's
Dickens was Christmas Carol.
yeah. So A Christmas
Christmas
Carol.
Story. Are you
Christmas
talking about
Story. Yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
There were
yeah,
the
yeah,
houses in, I think, outside of Cleveland.
just sold for I think something, or
Yeah.
they kicked off people of their lawn or something like that. Something happened.
Yeah,
That
there.
sounds more accurate.
Yeah.
But when I say 'tis the season, why I thought Nate and I both thought, one, it is 'tis the fucking season. Like this is the season.
Just 'tis the season.
But I don't know. You guys, you all celebrate this. There's a build up to
Yeah.
December 24th. My family, I'll be in Florida doing it and stuff like that.
terrible.
We'll be at a Chinese restaurant and stuff like that. But is this when you look? Are you looking forward to the season?
Nate,
I'll end the podcast right now. I don't care.
just throw them.
Yeah, make it a quick one.
I paid for it.
Yeah. First one, hour and 50 minutes. Second half, 15 minutes.
Enjoy the Chinese food, everyone. Good night.
Yeah, they're open.
I think this
White Castle during the day.
Ooh.
They're the only ones that were open back in the day.
There's I don't know. I think this season it's weird. The whole Thanksgiving through Christmas, there are times where this season brings out the best in people. There's also times where it brings out the worst in people.
Sometimes it brings out the worst people
There you go too.
in the retail side of things.
But like I remember Black Friday, I
You
left.
can't say that anymore.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I left my house. I left my house to go to the Tinder Box and work. I was there early just in case it was busy that day because Tinder Box is, as you know, Easton Town Center, huge shopping mall. It's Black Friday. There's a bunch of people, not necessarily more people buying cigars because it's a little early for Christmas because you got to keep those cigars fresh.
I'm guessing you guys don't have crazy deals.
No, we don't. Well, and Ray says if you're offended by me wishing you Merry Christmas, you have some serious psychological issues. It's gone both ways over the last decade. There have been people that have gone to Starbucks and Starbucks barista says, "Hey, happy holidays." They're like, "It's Merry Christmas." Okay. And then you go to other places and you say Merry Christmas. They're like, "I don't celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays."
If you're
Like,
offended by someone that you've never met before by saying something nice to you, yes, you do have major psychological issues.
But like I left my house and my house was normal. It was just like it was the day before. I come home, Christmas tree's up, all the lights and ornaments are up on it.
What are you doing?
I was at work.
They just put the tree up without you?
Yeah. And my wife had like 75% of the Christmas presents wrapped.
Did you know that was happening?
Nope. Had no clue.
I feel like all these years he probably assumes it might happen.
I did
leaving.
not. I was
Gotta
expecting,
go.
I was expecting her to wait till December. But then also, and we see this quite a bit, I think, at Easton. This is the season for, people going out to the malls. They're buying Christmas presents. Easton is jam-packed with people. There's a ton of cars, ton of people. And all of a sudden, sometimes it brings out the worst in some people. Like they get pissed off because they can't find a parking spot close to where they want to go. And then they go into a store and they're already kind of on edge and they already have a little bit of an attitude. It's like, well, that's not why you're doing this. Like you're going out to buy presents. You're seeing
At
all
the
lights.
cigar shop, you're noticing this?
Yes. Oh, I can see it at the cigar shop or anywhere I'm at East. Like, yeah, I can see.
So Tinder
There are
Box
some people where
is at a very high-end retail area, so it's busy. You're not just going to a cigar shop. You are part of a major current
Yeah,
mall.
people come from Cleveland, Cincy, all that
Current,
stuff.
yeah, I mean,
We get people that come from other states.
the
Sure,
people
Easton's the
that
spot.
stay at the hotels, and this is a weekend for them.
Great bathrooms.
But they're
And bar.
I think people
Sure.
I think people that are going to a retail mall like Easton, they know it's going to be busy, especially if they've been there before. They know it's going to be busy. They know parking's going to be a bitch. They know there's going to be
sucks though.
They know there's going to be a ton of people, and that will kind of turn their attitude a little bit more negative. And when they left the house, they were fine, but then when they were doing all their shopping, they were kind of in a pissy mood.
I'd say that makes them naive or delusional. But they thought they were going to go up and have just like no traffic, no anything.
At Easton during
And
At any shopping
Yeah.
experience.
Well,
that was a big thing about why online shopping was such a huge hit, was this season.
Mhm.
and people got used to it over the past couple of years.
You have to go anywhere. You just
Yeah.
do it all, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to go out. There's no more traditions with that. That was the whole thing. Again, pre-COVID, that was
When you had the
where we were at.
Yeah, when you had stores that were opening,
The
at
reason you went out shopping is because you waited, or like now it's the 20th of December and they can't guarantee shipping. And you're like, fuck.
now I got to go to a store and be around crowds.
And now
of
it's even
people.
busier.
Yeah.
Good.
So I mean, yeah,
It's
Fuck
good.
'em.
No, I mean it's good for the retail.
It is.
it is, but also, and with the years that I've been at the Tinder Box, the Christmas season at the Tinder Box is vastly different than the other cigar retailers I've worked for,
Sure.
because of its location, because of the amount of people coming
Yeah.
in. And I like it because, typically we're, especially as it gets closer to Christmas, we get busier. There's more customers. There's more interaction. I love helping customers find a great gift for people they're buying for.
Are there still people smoking cigars? And the same 5 or 6 people smoking cigars in the Tinder Box?
More than that, but yes, the same core group, if that's what you're asking there.
They ain't moving.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
but that you have
we do come up with, like, it's depending on the year, but there's a typically like the weekend before the holiday, we'll say no smoking's allowed during like a Saturday before 3:00 or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right,
Yeah.
that is a big thing. And again, smoke is it's a dead giveaway. I had someone actually say that today. They're very pleasant. They're really happy with the experience, the shopping experience. They're still early. It wasn't that busy, but there were people smoking in there, right? So yeah, they still were like, oh man, it's gonna be a dead giveaway. It's like, I know, like but they were laughing when they said it.
Dead giveaway of
Yeah.
what?
The smell of smoke when they
Oh,
go
that they
home.
bought
they'll
something
smell
from
like
a cigar.
Because
Oh, I got you.
someone
I got you.
buying for the cigar smoker, they come home. I have yet to use this, but I will from now on. If you came into my house and you were shopping for cigars, like if Kristen went out shopping for cigars, which she shouldn't, but if she did and she smelled like smoke, numb. I would not smell. I
Yeah.
smell like
You-
cigar
you-
smokers smell like smoke.
Yeah.
It's very rare, I feel like, if you're a regular cigar smoker, that you're going to do that. If you're the occasional cigar smoker, I'm shopping for my son, they smoke cigars every once in a while.
twice a year.
They might
Yeah.
smell it if they live with you.
Yeah.
But if they still live with you at 25,
Okay, you
26,
gotta be
I think
smart
there's
about
other
it.
bigger issues at hand here.
But for me, the holiday season, like, I love that we're that busy. I love having more
Yeah.
customer interactions. It makes the day go by a little faster, but also just I enjoy that helping customer aspect and helping them buy a great gift. There are times where we get those customers that come in, and literally the only time they ever come in is December when they're buying Christmas presents.
Sure.
But we've provided a great shopping experience for them. That's why they keep coming back.
Oh, I've already had it where people
Yeah,
come in and
I have as well.
they're like, oh, good, you're here. I'm like, well, I'm sorry.
Like out of business?
No,
You personally.
you were here last year. I came in, I bought this present. And I typically will joke with them. I'm like, I'm glad I'm here too. Forgive me that I don't quite recall what we picked out last year, because they're on a mission, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you almost catch them off guard, and they're just like, well, no, I wouldn't expect you to remember, but like he really liked it, and it's like, great. Do you know what? Like, where are we going with this? We got samplers. It's like, yeah, no, it's a sampler. Do you guys still have it? And I'm like, So again, like, so there is a little bit of, but it's about like what Nate's saying is helping people. I think that's all year round.
But then also this time of year, while I enjoy it at the retail, I know it's a little bit more stressful on you, Steve, and also Brian, the owner.
More Brian, but yeah.
More Brian, because you guys are there more hours. Or Brian takes it upon himself, even though he doesn't necessarily need to.
No, this is his Super Bowl.
This
is so as a business owner, this is the Super Bowl. What hat?
Like Santa hat?
No.
You should wear a Santa hat.
Maybe. My point is that this is you got to make your nut when it comes. You're in sales, right?
Yeah, this is your busy season.
This is it. You have a bad Christmas season as in the service industry, retail side of things. If you're a restaurant and bar, people are tipping more, people are spending more money. They are, a lot of the times, even in this current climate, I've already seen it. We have on the and I'm not just going to stick with the Tinder Box of Easton, but definitely check them out. There's a jar that says, "For the Wounded Warrior Project." This is the time of the year, even today, someone, like they look at you while they're putting the money in the jar, thinking it's a tip jar, just because they didn't read it, whatever, which is fine. We always like, oh yeah, I'm sure that, they appreciate the donation, just to kind of put the presence on that. I had a lady today, she was like, oh my God, this was like so much easier. Like, you were great and all this stuff. And she threw a $5 in there, spent $30-$40, you know what I mean? But she's like, oh, that's not for you? And she like almost panicked. I'm like, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. And she's like, well, I wanted to give that to you. It's like, that's fine too. But it's like, this is the time of the year that people, all of the news will tell you that people are spending less. And I'm sure they are. But
I don't think they are.
When they're out there, I think people are maybe a little bit more conscious of their budget.
Sure.
I think maybe they're not going to just rack up their credit cards. There is that aspect of it, but I think some people are a little more conscious of what they're spending. But the fact that they are out, that's
they're out to spend money.
Side of it. If you're getting good service, you want to tip your servers more. You want to tip your bartenders more.
Give them something to spend their money on.
Because people look at that as that they're not looking down at the service industry. They're not looking down, but this is the time that if you have a mailman that you know their name, or mail person that you know their name, whatever, it's like you might, old school, William, who's been on the podcast a while back, good friend of the show, good friend of ours. He's a mailman. Mm-hmm. And he has some people that still put just something like a Christmas cookie in the mailbox.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just that, or like a gift card, like just a $10 gift card. There's still that, to your guys, like, 'tis the season. There's still that holiday spirit. No matter what you celebrate, you're going to have the bah humbugs, but you're going to have this season that means a lot. You're a little bit more caring.
Giving.
Yeah.
Giving. I love that. Like, you're more giving. Yeah, you hate the traffic. You hate the fact that people are going out, like, shopping wise, is that they haven't been out since last Christmas, so they don't even know how to drive. You know what I mean?
Christmas, babies, funerals, weddings. Budgets go out the window.
In that order?
I don't think it's that order particularly, but those are things that are budget proof.
In the moving industry, it used to be the most stressful things were moving, divorce, and deaths.
Yeah, and in my world, it's remodeling, new construction. It's hey, do we try to get everything done before Thanksgiving or Christmas, or do you wait till after the year? Everybody wants everything now, obviously, by a certain deadline. If you can't hit that deadline, you move on. But I think if people are, it's a good sign for the economy. It's a good sign for your business that Easton is busy. It'd be really concerning because there's a lot of malls that have gone out of business if you all were slow. So Easton has been,
that's what I was saying, it's the
since
Super
I lived
Bowl,
in
right?
Cleveland, which is 15 years ago,
sure,
that people would come to Easton because that's the spot you go to for shopping because they got more stuff than the other places.
And it amazed me, like last weekend at the shop, there was someone who came in like, man, there are so many people out here today. And I'm like, it's a Saturday, it's Easton, it's December. Like that right there.
That's one.
That right there should be a giveaway. But also,
I'm Ubering
even during any other part of the winter, it doesn't matter if it's 50 degrees or 20 degrees. If it's a clear, sunny day, people are out.
And people haven't had the opportunity to do it as much over the past few years.
True.
So they're back in full force.
They are. Let's get off the retail a little bit here. 'Tis the season, right? So what else does this bring to you guys as far as that goes? So we can come back to the retail. We can keep talking about that. I agree. I think that is a great, especially in the U.S., this is a great indicator of where we're at economically, where we're at as far as attitude. I think it is a little bit of a, not necessarily an equalizer, but hopefully there is that pump of the holiday spirit.
All right, so
how you deal with people. But 'tis the season. This can be universal, like you guys are talking about, Thanksgiving happens, winter happens, all this stuff. Is that, Spencer, you said something like there's a change, there's a shift, right? There's something that the season, we've talked about that. Spencer's been on those podcasts in the past where it's like, it's fall, it's summer, like, seasons are changing. This is one that winter. So for those that haven't listened to the podcast before, we're based out of Columbus, Ohio. This is the true Midwest. We're not in the North. It's not as bad as some areas of the U.S. or other parts of the world. But this week right now, where it's like you're expecting maybe on the retail side a bit of a boom, it's warmer than normal. It's more mild, right? So it's like 50 as highs, but it's rainy and gray. It's dark at 5:30.
So
it's a huge shift, which a lot of times is, you want to really pollute this whole thing where a lot of times it's equated with like seasonal depression or like you miss the people that you used to celebrate with and all of this stuff. There's ways around that. And I think that with this season, what we're talking about is, in a positive light, is you're getting out again. You're doing this. You're giving to people.
So I was out and about last night, in Short North, which is Columbus's kind of downtown, kind of hip area.
Yeah.
And went out with the girlfriend and a couple of her friends and had sushi. And it was
Back to the
and it was foggy. It was rainy. It was cool. But you're making the effort to do it. And you could easily not make the effort. But I feel like those who make the effort to go to Easton, to go out to bars, to go out to restaurants, to go out and spend their money during the season, they will get more out of it by physically getting out of their house and doing something.
Yes.
I know I've been on the podcast in years past where we've had the discussion of seasonal depression. And, I know that, a couple days ago, you posted that was your dad's birthday.
Yeah. 2 days ago. Yeah. So December 5th. Yeah.
Does that bring back memories of your family that, hey, this is a year without my dad? Or does that bring back, hey, this is what my dad would want me to do during the season?
So the reason I post that, for those that have seen that, that follow me on social media, it is in no way, I appreciate all the love and support, right, from people that like it or comment. And, there was some confusion there, especially earlier on, like, he'd already passed like 3 years prior at that time or whatever it was, a couple years ago. We're like, oh, my condolences. And I'd have to like, oh, well, he passed away in 2017.
So nice.
I do that. And I always try to include a message where, so what I do is I go out the best of my ability on the day of or around that, on his birthday, on the anniversary of his passing, and Father's Day. Those are the big three. And it's a reason for me to go out there, no matter what you guys believe. It's just something that's more for me. But posting it usually will trigger responses of, I lost my dad, my mom, my person, whatever it is. And I try to. There's intention there. It's not really aggressive, but it's to elicit the response of, like the message says a lot of times, is, hold the ones.
Put perspective into things.
Yeah. Say what you want to the people. It's not and it can come across negative, but it's not anything between me and my dad necessarily. It's just me going out there. And, I had a very brief conversation with him in my mind, or whatever you believe. But it's like, I go out there and I always either smoke a cigar or I'll pour just one drink. I did that this time. I poured one drink. And I squeezed it into the December 5th. You're right. Could have spent more time, but it's one of those things. It's like I have this conversation, and I do talk out loud by myself, and I cheers him, and I say what I want to say since last, birthday. It's not really with the holidays. It's that stuff will fade. I could easily not gone out there. I could easily just like kept going with life, but it's not a negative. It's more of I post it to elicit the response of, I hope you guys, for just a split second, have that, whether it's someone you lost that you have moved on completely, that you don't remember the impact it had on you. I'm not trying to bring up bad memories. I'm not trying to be like, yeah, go call your mom right now. Go call your dad right now. Don't, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure some people did it.
And that is whatever the response is what I would love. I would love, that's the one time I wish, this in the podcast, but I would have a bigger following on social media so that posting that would not, it's not a cry for attention. It's not any of that stuff or like make me look good. It literally is. I say it out loud when I'm out there talking to them. I'm like, yeah, I'm posting this just so that people hopefully will have some sort of impact, whether they haven't lost anyone, they have lost someone, they are dealing with some issues, that it's hopefully it's impactful.
It is.
That's it. So going into the holiday season, yeah, it sucks. You know what I mean? I wish, life goes on. And I hope that like when I pass, it's not someone going out there and posting on social media, but it's like that emotional and mental response on how that impacts you. You don't want to lose that fire that really you wish you would have done something different. You're proud that you did the way you did, whatever it might be. But the other people in your life, there's something there that it happens to coincide. His birthday is December 5th, holiday season. Hopefully that'll kick off your holiday season, not with the sadness or anything else. It's like, that's what it's about. It's remembering the people that are important to you, whether they're with you or they are not with you anymore. They had a positive impact, hopefully. It's who you are thanks to the people that are in your life or were in your life.
I definitely took it as to hold the ones you are dear and to really kind of, obviously mourn the ones that are no longer here, but really to appreciate the ones that are here. And it puts it into perspective.
Sure.
Real, in my world, real quick. It was like, all right, this is what's actually important in life, and then I'll worry about all the other bullshit.
To some people, most people, I think a lot of times, seeing a picture of a tombstone, it's about as impactful as it gets. Because the whole death thing, it's not everyone. They think they have a grasp on it until they don't. And I think that something like that, whether it's you or the people that are important to you, the reason I post that is truly for that response.
I think
however it hits you, it should move you. I think we're beyond the days, especially people that you follow that are friends. I'm not talking about like celebrities or anyone else you follow, but it's like you see someone post that. It in my opinion, and this is not for me, but anyone I see that, it takes guts. And there are some people that Ben Hartnell, I don't think he listens to the show, but we lost our dad, friend of the family, good friend of my brother. And a couple of years later, he lost his dad. And I went to the wake. Dude's big. He's like 6'4", 6'5", I don't know, like 250 pounds, 300 pounds. And he gave me the biggest hug. And he's like, I might have to lean on you. He commented, that's the true impact.
Well, I think sometimes having that around this season has a bigger impact. Because I remember, it's been a few years, but every year with the way my wife and I's families are and scattered, Thanksgiving we kind of get bogged down with the traveling, driving a couple hours away to go to her family and then a couple hours back to go to my family. It just makes for a really long day. And sometimes you kind of lose perspective of the holiday. But a few years ago, my grandfather had passed away after Thanksgiving. And then, 4 weeks later, or it wasn't even 4 weeks, we have Christmas.
Sure.
And it's the first Christmas
Yeah.
without that person.
Yeah.
And so every year when you see that pop up, like it kind of makes everything slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it puts things in perspective. It makes you slow down and also think about what actually is important. Is going to the malls and buying gifts important, or is it spending time with your loved ones, while you have the opportunity? For us, this isn't, for me, this is a busy season in terms of work, trying to close things out at the end of the year, working at the Tinder Box, hours there. It's a busy time, but Sunday was our anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. Happy anniversary.
There you go.
How many years?
12.
Happy anniversary.
And then also, our anniversary is also the same day as my sister's birthday. My sister and I are both December babies. Other family members that are December as well. And sometimes that kind of gets lost in the mix. I always joke with people because growing up, kids were like, "Oh, having a birthday in December must be awesome. You get twice as many presents."
I never thought that.
It's like, no, I get the same amount of Christmas presents, except they take 2 of my Christmas presents, put happy birthday wrapping paper on them.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
I mean, if anyone's going to trump anyone, it's
Nate.
Over Jesus.
Wait.
Wow, that makes sense.
He's still here.
Oh, slide over.
Let's not start a holy war here.
He's a Jew.
Oh.
So you're Jewish.
He's on my side. we claim him.
Oh, that's how you're going to say it?
But no, I think though that sometimes people get bogged down with from Thanksgiving to Christmas. People just get so caught up on buying the gifts and going out. Thankfully, with the way my wife and I are, because we buy Christmas presents all throughout the year, we don't have to worry about doing that come December. Like, we've already got everything taken care of. We don't have to go out and
miss some good sales though.
It's the same price. They just marked it up and then made a sale on it and make you think you're getting a deal. But no, because we already have that off our plate, that allows more room for the other things. And we can make room for things that are more important than just going out.
It's a relaxing season for you because you already have that off your plate.
That helps take some of the stress off the plate.
Good.
By having that taken care of, we don't have to, that's one less thing to worry about. Now it's just, with work, just getting through the end of the year with work. I have to take off some more time so that way I don't lose vacation time at the end of the year. So that's kind of nice. So time I can either spend at home or I can help out the Tinder Box. Either way, I'm good with either. But having that just allows, because you only have so many hours in the day. I already have something else taken care of. So now I can spend that time with other things that I deem are important. And those things are probably going to be more important than going at Christmas shopping.
I'll say this from the other side of it, the Hallmark side of it, right? Where it's like, we talk about in the Valentine's Day episode a lot of times, is that sometimes this season reminds you what is important. You know what I mean? It is, yes, it's commercialized. Yes, you have to like stress out for, those that don't start shopping in January for Christmas presents. As long as what you have more time for, Nate, and everyone out there, if you have more time to appreciate what's important to you, taking off time, not calling you out, but it's like, what you mentioned is, on surface level, what you actually conveyed there is like, you're worried about like, all right, I'm not going to lose vacation time. I'm going to be able to work, more hours at the shop because I know you know what I mean? All that stuff is, do you use it wisely? would you rather be able to, and please, I want you to work at the shop. No, I'm not saying that. But for those that are able to take time off, do you take time off to take time off with your family? Do you spend more time? Like, you said, Nate, Jess, your wife, decorated the house while you were doing those things. So there is this, if you have someone that balances you in a sense, that you are working maybe more, but they are taking care of that and they're doing that. But the 'tis the season, or the reason for the season, no matter what it is, especially this time of the year with the holidays, are you actually focused on what brings you joy?
So I think Thanksgiving kind of leans into that. I think one of the most impactful episodes you guys had was a couple of weeks ago when it was the Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah, you sent a nice text after that.
Yeah,
that really hit you.
Like I said, I listen to everyone when I can, and you post them when you can and things like that. But, my family does go around the circle, and, we got about 15, 20 people, and we do it, and I don't mind it. I think it's really nice.
Sure.
One of the first things that was said at our Thanksgiving, someone said, it's nice we got everyone's here this year. We didn't lose anyone this year. So that shit, with your dad and stuff like that,
I get what you're saying.
That stuff puts stuff in perspective. Yeah. And for me, that kind of leans into to the rest of the season. All right, this is what's actually important. This is what we are thankful for. This is what we got, looking forward to this year. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reminder. I think, 'tis the season. This is one of those things where it doesn't matter what the season is, but this one, for a lot of people, it will bring up thoughts of and memories of loss. But that mindset of whoever that was in your family, like, we're all still here. We didn't experience loss in our circle, in our family. And sometimes it is nice to have that where you do the day-to-day, you're going through the rest of the year, and it's like you don't think about it. You want to think about it, but you're more consumed with what you're doing every day, with the job, the relationship, and all that stuff. But I do look at the holiday season that we're experiencing now, from Thanksgiving. If you put the effort in, like you said, embrace it, Spencer. If you put that effort in, you might get more out of it.
You will get more out of it.
You will. You should. Yeah. You will. It's one of those things. If you go into it and you're just dreading, like, I got to go to these places and all that stuff, you don't have to do that. You don't. All right. For the fact is, you don't.
Well, when you
can say no during the holidays if it's gonna make it bad for you, as long as you realize why it's gonna make it bad for you. If it's superficial and you're just fucking lazy, then go fuck yourself. Go celebrate the holidays, right? Like that's the big thing. Spend time with your family. Spend time with people that are important to you. Don't be selfish about it. And I think that if you put that effort in, those are the memories that you're creating that you will hopefully appreciate, definitely later, but hopefully at the moment and currently as you're doing it. No matter if it's on Thanksgiving, if you do a Hanukkah celebration, you do a Kwanzaa, Christmas, whatever it is, you do a New Year's thing. If you're whatever you are during this time of the year, if you like seeing Christmas lights, go out and see them. If you want to put up Christmas lights, do it. If you want to decorate your house, do it. If it's for you, great. If it's for someone else, even better. That's the giving side of it.
Yeah, I think it also kind of breaks up the year too. So it does. The years go by faster as we get older and things like that. So it's nice to, if you change the wreath on your door, or you change the decorations of your house, it definitely breaks up the year and things like that. But I guess I got a question for the two of you, because you are in that place where you all are. When you start to see the lights go up and things like that at Easton, and you start to see it, hey, this is our season where, we're headed towards a direction. Does that give you guys more energy, or does that, does it just depend on the day, kind of when you're driving into work or you're driving home from work with it?
I look forward to it. The Christmas season at Easton, I talked about it earlier. I have a different mindset going to the Tinder Box in December than I did the other cigar shops I worked at, because the other ones I were at were just out in the community. They were destination places. Like, you actually had to go there. There weren't shopping malls or stores around. So literally the customers that you had there were people specifically going there for, whatever, for buying a Christmas present. And they were much smaller stores. With Tinder Box, because of its location, there's a lot more foot traffic. You get more people coming in just out of curiosity because they're passing by and they want to see what it is. But then also because of the location and how long the store's been around, you're getting those people that are coming back every single year.
I guess I'm just talking about, I know that you sometimes have a negative view on the holidays because of all the travel that you got to do. I'm just talking about
when you listen to the Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah. I'm just, over the past 4 years, I've listened to the Thanksgiving episode.
But I look forward to it from.
So does that take over from, hey, I got this new energy from, hey, my job at Easton is going to be more exciting because I do this. Does that transfer over to, all right, now I got to see my family. Now I got to see my friends, stuff like that. Does that give you an extra boost bit, or does that wipe you out a little bit?
I look at it as that I would love that. So I'll answer this in two ways. I've been in different industries over the years, and there's always that, again, I said it earlier, like the Super Bowl side of it, right? When I was in the moving and storage industry, there was literally like you couldn't take vacation in the summertime when most people that have kids and everything, they take vacation.
Yep.
Now I'm in this industry for the last 10 years, and now you don't take vacation around the holidays. That's a negative to a lot of people, right? That's a tough sell to a family or to a significant other. It's like, hey, let's travel for the holidays. Yeah, so I work until Christmas Eve. We close, and then I'm off Christmas Day.
Free St. Patty's Day.
No, not anymore. That used to be a big holiday for me. Not anymore. Yeah, no. Random day in May, sure. We'll do something. Maybe October, that's
April.
great.
Yeah.
April, whatever. But so I think there's a little resentment there that it sucks. Like it's not convenient with people that you're close with because not everyone has the same schedule as you. But I look at it that way, and I also look at it as like, man, from the business side of it, I wish people have bought things for people that they're close with or that are close to them.
The other 11 months out of the year.
The rest of the year. If business was the way it is leading up to Christmas and the holidays, 11 months out of the year, the store would triple or quadruple in revenue, right? I mean, that's the natural fact. So I can appreciate that. I do like it. It does beat you down a little bit, but to Nate's point, when he's talking about Thanksgiving, to the people that they look at the holidays, I got to buy all this stuff for the kids and the family and whoever you're buying gifts for. It's like, man, my finances are just crushed in December.
Yep.
But again, to your point earlier, Spencer, is that it's how you look at it. Are you giving? Can you combine the fact that what Nate and his wife does all year round, so financially they're not strapped this time of the year, with the reason for the season of also giving, and that kind of, like you said, the change in the seasons is a nice reminder for some sort of a reset and an appreciation for people that you may have been, you didn't say this, but the way I took it a little bit is you take for granted a lot of the year.
God, we are so lucky compared to 99% of the population. What we worry about versus what other people worry about, especially this time of year.
True.
So it's really, a lot of times with social media and things like that, comparison is the ultimate tool for unhappiness because you're always comparing yourself to what other people have, what other people want, where other people are. Everyone has the biggest, the best in our, vacationing and stuff like that. But if you look at the other side, how lucky we are and how much we have. So I think it's just all about perspective versus how much we have versus how much other people don't have.
Yeah, I think it's knowing your means, right? You don't want to necessarily, as you grow older, you, even as a young person, it's like you're in that relationship, or you want to you got your first job and now you can actually do something with money, right? And if you are fortunate enough to have a good family, you're like, oh, I'm going to go all out on my presents this year for my parents and my siblings, or I'm going to buy this expensive jewelry and I'm going to open up a credit card or a line of credit at a store just to do all this stuff. And it's like, you do all these things to really show them. I think as you get older, you're like, that's not
what's going to bring happiness to you or to them.
No, it's a nice gesture. But the biggest thing is being with those people. I think that's the true sense of being lucky to be in that situation is to accept where you're at in the world and where you're at in your life, financially, emotionally, mentally, and everything else. Is that the whole point of get them gifts, get them, like, biggest thing is spend time with them. That's the thing you'll never get back. You can buy the fanciest set of earrings. You can buy, a really nice whatever. If it's your girl, if your guy, your parents, your siblings, it's not about showing off. It's not about that. You should be doing that all year round. Is having that balance. But I think the holidays, this season, 'tis the season, is showing that person, or that showing whatever it is in your life, friends as well, spending time with them. If sending a text, whatever it might be, just reaching out and doing that. If you need this season, if you need that, again, I'm not belittling this, but we talk about on other holidays, is that if you need that holiday to give you a reminder to show people in whatever fashion it is that they are important to you and you appreciate them in their life, I am of the opinion that is the greatest gift you can give.
I think it's almost like the 5 love languages, but with the people, right? So some people do appreciate.
Go ahead and break that down.
No,
I'll get a whiteboard out here.
Yeah, no, I mean, some people do appreciate the gifts and stuff like that, but other people do appreciate the quality time and things like that. So it's really, all right, what's important to that person or to those people, and try to give it to them as much as you can, and also try to prioritize and, figure out, I'm sure, especially if you got people in different cities, spreading yourself thin.
Yeah.
How can you spread yourself thin by still accommodating the most amount of people and not making about yourself?
Well, that's one of the reasons why my dad, he always has his family Christmas party now the weekend before Christmas.
Smart.
Because he knows everyone, his kids and stepkids, they're all going to be busy on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve and all that. So he always has his Christmas party the week before, because most of us don't have anything going on that weekend. I still have to work, so I show up at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and people are starting to leave. Or
sounds perfect for you.
It's great for me.
Yeah. Well, see you later.
Well, but things aren't as busy. Like, all the presents have already been open. Kids are starting to get tired, or they're starting to lay down. Things are quieter. It's a little bit different, because then because all the hustle and bustle of Christmas is already gone by the time I get there.
Sure.
Now it's a little calmer. It's a little more intimate. We're all just relaxing. Like, it's a different mindset than if I was there as soon as the party started.
I also think that we might have a very different experience about this. All of us, have significant others, but we don't have, little ones. And I think, we can be kind of pretty selfish this time of year, at least myself personally, that, when we have somebody else or, other, kids and stuff like that to worry about, I think it all changes. So, myself personally, I really kind of view it from my own personal lens, but I think I'll really appreciate the season a little bit more if there's something besides just me and, my significant other to kind of put my energy towards.
Well, I think you're a passionate person about, like, people that are important to you.
Sure.
And that comes across, as a friend of yours. And I think people can see that, that I've seen you on this show before, is that I think that is the biggest aspect of it. Like you said, embrace it. The reason that you embrace it is because of the importance that you put on not only your experiences, but the experiences of the people around you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is a mindset that you say, also, Spencer, that we are sitting here, we're very fortunate over like the 99%. I don't think it's that. I think that there are so many more people out there that, it may not always be easy, but they have this mindset of they do what they can. And yes, it's frustrating, but they get that joy of giving. They get that joy of this season. You mentioned multiple times about seeing the holiday lights.
Yeah.
Costs you nothing if you don't put them up. You go somewhere that someone else did that. Maybe some gas money or whatever it might be, but it's very minimal.
Did you ever drive around neighborhoods as a kid?
I drive through my own neighborhood.
Yeah. So that's my point, is that you can make the best of it. You don't always, it's not about necessarily impressing the people, and even people's kids, right? I mean, but you want to. A lot of people want to. But if you can get to that rational mindset of, it's like, I'm not going to mess up the rest of the year, whether it be however you look at it, but it's like, I can do things within my means to show people that I care about them. And it could be as simple as going to a neighborhood that, they have good lights, and you drive through there and you make some hot cocoa, you give it to your kids in the back seat, and it's like, hey, we're going to go for a ride. We're going to look at some Christmas lights. I'm going to put on some Christmas carols on the whatever it might be. I mean, I grew up, and it was like one of those things, like, I grew up in the church. I'm no longer really a part of it, but we went Christmas caroling. Those types of things are
with your voice.
Once I hit puberty, yeah, I mean, it was
better. They needed you.
I used to hit some high notes as a young kid, and
really,
I wasn't born like this.
Oh.
I just am saying is that you can do things that bring joy to others, that if you're that type of person that it brings joy to you, there's some simple pleasures in life. And this is a season that there are very simple pleasures in life. It doesn't have to be over the top. You don't need the biggest and best Christmas tree. You don't need the biggest and best, family get together where it's over the top. No matter what holiday you celebrate, it's simply just getting together with the people. Those are the memories. Those are the things, and I hope that people can appreciate that and really they don't feel disappointed in themselves that I wish I could give them more. Absolutely, we all do. It would be great, but you're giving them something. That's the effort. That's the embracing of the season, is that you're giving people something, and your heart, your drive and emotion will come across in a very, very positive way, even as though they don't see that you wish you could give them more.
So it kind of ties into a question I'd written down. Do you have more fond Christmas memories as a child or as an adult?
Oof. Child for me, just because I was like that typical Midwestern suburban child where I just wanted a Nintendo. So when I saw the big present come out, like that was I was a selfish kid, right? It was like typical. I feel like, Midwestern.
There's no pressure
child,
on Christmas 80s, 90s. When you're a kid.
Yeah. I'm not like I don't have an income, so it's like it's all about like, really want that bike. I really want that Nintendo. I really want that, and it's like, if that came out eventually, maybe it's the last present. You're always looking for that last present they put out because they knew it was the big present. Really good memories. Later on in life, it's being with people.
Yeah, I don't remember personally specific gifts. I remember the transition where, like I said, we always used to decorate our family friends, Christmas tree. I remember the transition where I got a little taller, and it was me and, my sister and, the other family. And all right, now it's your turn to do the lights. Like, you guys are doing this. You're taking over the traditions from the parents and things like that. Those are the things that I, looking back at 40 years, that I remember versus any specific gifts. It's all right, the traditions where it's, the cookies or, the tree or, singing songs and things like that versus anything else. It's more kind of the passing of the torch than a specific gift personally. I don't remember very many specific gifts, even though at the time,
I wasn't referring to gifts.
Yeah. I'm just, as I get older, I view the season more, less stuff and more experiences of not even who you're with, but what you're doing during that season.
Yeah. I saw, going back, it was gifts as kids. I mean, that's a priority. I think this a problem. I've talked about this on the show. I do remember it was important to get back to the Chicago area to be with my grandma's house, my grandma and grandpa's house, with the cousins, with the aunts and uncles. And that was Christmas. When we couldn't get back there, that was a huge disappointment that we couldn't get back to everyone that we like to celebrate Christmas or the holidays. When we moved away when I was young, from the rest of the family. That was a disappointment because, you know, you'd be able to call long distance after whatever time, you know, because that's when it was cheaper or free, and on calling cards and all that stuff, is that, yeah, you could run down. It's like, all right, let me pass the phone over to this person, all that stuff. That sucked. That wasn't what we thought when we grew up. That wasn't the holidays. That wasn't Thanksgiving. That wasn't Christmas. That wasn't whatever get together it might be. But that, I think it translates now where you want to spend time with people that are important to you.
Yeah, and being a Jew, it sucks compared to fucking Christmas.
Can you say that?
I can say it's a hard J when I say it. If you fuckers say it, we got some issues.
Soft J, like
soft J. You.
It's a you.
Right.
You. When I say you.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's not like
go down that
it's
road.
not so with me and my family and, you know, half my friends. But it's not a build up to a specific day, which I think is the difference. It is more of a season because I'm embracing like it's a month.
It's a festival.
Right. And it's a festival of lights. It's 8 kind of shitty presents on 8 shitty nights versus
8 crazy nights.
Bro, 8. If I could change, I would change.
No one does it after the 5th night.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, you run out of aunts, you run out of uncles and things like that. It's just you kind of run out of stuff, but it is more the whole season versus a build up to a specific day. It's really kind of that month that kind of brings it back for me.
For me, so when I asked that question, none of my fondest memories.
Fucking Tim.
I know, I love it.
Sorry, Nate. It says as we grow older, presence is more important than presence, and that's obviously spelled in an impactful way there.
Yeah.
Well said.
None of my fondest memories of Christmas have anything to do with receiving gifts. My 3 fondest memories, 2 of which were giving gifts. One was the first Christmas that it was Christmas, but it was also the first time I ever bought my dad cigars. Because my dad used to smoke gas station cigars. And then I went to Tinder Box that used to be in Westland Mall. Or I'm sorry, not West, Tuttle Mall. The one that used to be inside Tuttle Mall. And I bought 8 cigars, 4 pairs. I gave my dad the exact same cigars I bought for me. So that way, when I gave those to him at Christmas, we could go into the garage and smoke the same cigar together.
I like that.
It was the first time I ever bought cigars for my dad.
I like that.
Classy move.
And ever since then, he's been smoking premium cigars. He's gone away from the gas station stuff. The second one was when I was in college. My stepdad, anytime I came home for a long break, I'd bring my Xbox with me. So that way I'd be at home because I had nothing to do. And I'd sit there and I'd play Halo.
Sure.
If I went out and did something, I'd come back home. My stepdad's in my bedroom playing Halo on my Xbox. So one year for Christmas, I bought my stepdad an Xbox and Halo. So that way he could play that in his room whenever he wanted to. And he absolutely loved, because I used to buy like small gifts for, you know, the people that were in my immediate family, but there was always one person that I went a little bit above and beyond for that gift each year.
That's tough, man.
And it wasn't necessarily.
Yeah, everyone else got screwed a little bit.
It
sucks. Xbox? Feet.
Well,
who do I love?
I'll get you next year. Like,
Nate, thank you.
Jess?
It just wasn't your turn in the rotation.
Who do you love more?
But one of my fondest memories as a kid for Christmas and Christmas in general, it occurred when I was a kid. My dad and his parents lived on the same, they each had their own house, but on the same road. And so we'd go to my dad's house in the morning. We were at my mom's for Christmas, drive 10 miles away, go to my dad's for Christmas in the morning.
Sure.
And then go right down the street to my dad's parents for Christmas.
Where do they live?
It was in Obetz.
Okay.
South side of Columbus.
Yes. One of the things I remember most about Christmas as a kid, because there were so many people in the family, we didn't do trash bags for the wrapping paper because there were so many presents and stuff like that. We literally had a giant cardboard box that we would just throw all the wrapping paper in. And I remember one year, like, I would actually go and like stand in that box and like trample down and compact all the
That's
wrapping
little
paper.
Nate right there.
And for me, that was fun.
He was full grown, bro.
It's a big box.
I was like 8 years old. Shut up, Spencer.
Similar memory.
But-
My Aunt Gwen used to like want to save the wrapping paper,
one
so
of
you had
those?
to like, yeah,
Don't rip
So
it. Just
you had to
peel the
like
tape.
even like it was like a 10-year-old. You're just like you want to like rip into it at grandma's house, but it was like literally it's like you gotta like use your fingers like as a knife and just like cut that Scotch tape, and then when someone like taped the wrapping paper to the box, you're like,
What are you doing?
What are you
doing?
mean, it's
What are
not.
you-
It's not a safe.
Are you
don't.
new
It's
here?
not, there's no combination here.
I'm switching to bags. I'm a bag guy now.
Bags are easy. Tissue paper bags are great.
Oh yeah, Jess would save like all the gift bags and tissue paper,
Reuse them.
or like the Macy's boxes.
Sure.
Oh yeah, reuse those the next year.
Oh yeah.
Or she comes into the Tinder Box and she'll get some of the empty cigar
if
boxes.
you got a gift from my mom, it was you assumed it was from Kohl's because it was Kohl's box. Most of the years early on, it was Kohl's.
I was gonna say, was it mostly Kohl's?
and later,
Steve
later
got cold.
years,
Steve got cold for Christmas.
Yeah, no Kohl's.
I know.
Kohl's boxes with other things in it.
I'm aware.
I like the presentation while we're going down that road of the presents with the gift receipt.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick,
Okay.
we'll get back to the season. We'll do closing remarks, but the tact of someone that they put the gift receipt. There's a transition in my family, right? So you put the gift receipt, tape it with Scotch tape on the top of the box, so you knew you had it, right? You open it up, and it's like, but save the box in case you need to return it. Then there's always the gift giver that as you're opening the gift,
If you don't like it,
I mean, come on.
just like ruin it before you even open it.
It was,
I didn't know what size you were.
you soften it up and you're like, if it doesn't fit or you want something different, but if then it turned into you're opening the gift, not even like you're not even out of the wrapping paper at this point. If you don't like it, I mean, there's a gift receipt inside and you're like,
What time does Easton open?
okay. As a kid, it's like, no, I don't like socks. Like, what do you want?
I'll take socks.
That's
now.
one of the.
Now, as we get older, yeah,
A good pair of
socks.
socks.
You used to hate getting socks, underwear, a good pair of slacks.
Tennis shoes.
Now, what do you have on there? I literally have tennis shoes on mine. I have like pants on mine.
Yeah.
I need some socks.
I'm gonna get you cigars.
Okay, I'm in.
15% off.
Oh, I think you're gonna buy them from me for me.
Return it. Try to get the full price.
There's a receipt in there. Hey, you bring out like, can you print out a receipt? Yeah, sure, that's fine.
No reason.
All right, we can talk about this. We'll probably talk about it as we get into this the rest of December here. There will not be a podcast the Wednesday before Christmas.
What?
I will not be available. Nate will not be available. So 'tis the season. Spencer might be here.
Thanks for making my
I just
schedule
need
for
you
me,
guys
Steve.
to set it up and start it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. But I do want to get in the closing remarks to this. 'Tis this season. I want to thank you guys for listening and everyone sharing this and enjoying this. But 'tis the season's topic tonight for part 2. Closing remarks, Spencer.
Thank you both for having me. Appreciate it.
Always.
The second cigar, for whatever reason, I think actually went a little better with the bourbon, personally.
I would agree.
So thank you for the second cigar, the first cigar, and the bottle of bourbon, which, even for the ratings that we gave it, it will probably not make it till next Wednesday. So I think everyone has enjoyed it a little bit more as we've gone on. Or
Take a pour of
It
it.
won't make it to Saturday.
yeah.
Thursday.
But I know we've done episodes before where it was almost embrace the suck, or if you're kind of
We've done that.
embrace the
Tis the
suck.
season is more poetic and
Right.
it works better on like a Hallmark movie,
So-
I mean,
Yeah.
last year we
Although
had.
I think a Hallmark movie with "Embrace the Suck" as the title, with where someone moves back to.
I mean that is a raunchy Hallmark movie. Under the gazebo, embrace the suck.
Wow.
Just a thought.
I think they're doing well, but that would be a good email.
Won't be on the Family Channel.
Hallmark Plus.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when I'm on this podcast, I'm almost it's definitely a therapy session, but it's almost what I say is to not just to the general audience, but it's almost like speaking it into fruition for myself.
Sure. Yeah.
So when I say embrace it, I'm almost telling myself, hey, embrace it. Right.
Here we
so
go.
when it's tis the season, it's, just with anything in life, you got two ways to go into it. You can either embrace it or you can't. So I think a lot of what we do in life is just kind of how you have choices in this life, how you view everything and how you go into different situations. So this year, I'm just choosing to embrace it and enjoy it. And I know that there are pitfalls. I know that there are members of your family or friends that aren't doing the same thing, but try to overcome that and just really kind of control what you can control and embrace the season, enjoy the season, no matter what you celebrate. And 'tis the season, enjoy all the things that go along with it. Enjoy the family time, enjoy your friends time. If you can't be with those people that you love and care about, understand that and realize that, hey, it sucks to be, alone on the holidays. I've been alone on holidays before, and it's very fortunate if you have a person or multiple people to enjoy the season with, and just to embrace the suck that is 'tis the season, and really trying to get the best out of it.
That's so positive and also
profound.
Well, I was going to say damn.
Oh, profound.
French.
Yeah, but I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to doing this again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate?
I think with this time of year, everyone realizes that there are some stressors that come with this time of year. There are some things that make us lose focus of what's nice about this time of year. Spencer brought up the Christmas lights and spending time with family and stuff like that. And I think sometimes, especially as we grow older, we kind of lose sight of that. And we just get caught up in the hustle and the bustle of the season. And if you're one of those people that the busyness of the season gets to you in a negative aspect, I think you need to make a conscious effort to actually monitor your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the easiest thing. Sometimes literally you have to actually think about it and make a choice to not let it have a negative impact on you, because it's very easy for things to just snowball in terms of the negativity with running around and going to the malls and it's busy and being around so many people. Like, you can be an extrovert all you want, but even extroverts have a hard time with this season because there's just so much going on. It's so busy.
Sure.
So you have to make a conscious choice to monitor that and not let it drag you down. And if you're someone that goes through things like that during this time of year, I think it'd be an interesting idea for people to actually make their own personal advent calendar where it has stuff like that in it, where you actually sit there and you have something either inspirational or something you've written down to think about, so that way you don't get lost in everything else going around and you actually remember what's great about this time of year. So, you make a choice to, go out with a significant other during this time of year, or you go and you walk around your neighborhood to see Christmas lights, or you drive to other neighborhoods to see Christmas lights, or you go to the Columbus Zoo for the lights, even though that's literally a zoo.
Literally a zoo.
Yeah, it's a zoo within a zoo. But no,
wildlife fun.
But if you have found yourself in the past struggling with this time of year, then write down some things so that way next year when this happens, or even between now and the end of the year, you actually do things to enjoy this season and even take it a step further, not wait until this season next year to go and enjoy some of those things. Obviously, there's not going to be Christmas lights all year round, but in the Midwest, you can probably still go see some Christmas lights in February.
You can put up Christmas lights whenever you want.
There you go. Actually saw someone actually had their house decorated for Christmas on Halloween.
Nope. No.
On trick or treat.
Just said whenever you want.
And
no, not early.
There were
July, maybe.
There were kids going out for trick or treat and saw this house all decorated for Christmas, and the kids are just standing on the sidewalk because they don't know what to do.
Unless Santa
they
is
don't
handing
know.
out trick or treat. Or Jesus.
Fat man.
But no, just
No, he wouldn't. He's
But-
busy.
make a list of things. Make a list of things that are out there that you can enjoy, so that way you're actually taking time to enjoy this season and not getting caught up in what sometimes drags people down during this time of year.
Yeah. Wow. I think that this time of year, 'tis the season. It brings out the best in people, mostly. And I feel as though this time of year should be an inspiration for the rest of the seasons, right? Spencer, you had mentioned that it was like this the way I took it, like there's a clock turning, or there's something going on where it's like this is a reminder of seasons changing. We are fortunate where we are in the Midwest of the U.S. is that we have seasons. It's different every year. It's not cut and dry, but it's really fascinating to me that people act differently for whatever reason, whether it be battling seasonal depression, whether it be that they have this euphoria of this is the best time of the year, which you hear in songs, is that you want to enjoy this time of the year. It's so exciting. You got to dig your car out. You got to do certain things. You got to start your car in the morning to thaw it out. You got to put different shoes on. You got to shovel your driveway.
Scrape
you got to do all this stuff, everything, right? You know what I mean? Your heating bills off the charts when it's cold. Don't do a propane heater in your house. It's not good, as Spencer pointed to. But I do enjoy the fact that this season, at this stage of my life, I try to pick out the positives, the people that are really, whether or not they want to, you can't fool themselves. Like they just can't. Like they really do enjoy getting a good customer service or good interaction experience. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is. You do it for whatever you do it for. And I think that some people that are truly pure, or maybe they do cause a fuss, but they really do appreciate the fact that where we're at in the world, Spencer, you said the 99%, but I think, again, that percentage is too high. So many people, they might get upset about it, but at the core, they appreciate people being more friendly.
Yeah.
I've already had people say happy holidays. It's not just at the shop. It's not just being customer service. It's not just that. People are already like, they want their, if you celebrate Christmas, they want the Christmas list before Thanksgiving because that's when the deals are. That's great. If you're just trying to figure out what to buy someone because you have to buy something for someone, I appreciate that too, because you want to do something because you feel like you have to. You're going to be judged if you don't, or you're going to judge yourself. But I think that this holiday spirit, the 'tis the season, is something that there is a life lesson there that you can translate this to an everyday life, that we do need the calendar to remind us, because we all fuck up. We take people for granted. We take jobs for granted. We take everything for granted. I don't care if you are doing well and you don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about the people in your life. The bottom line is that there's enough stories out there that you do need to worry about money. You do need to worry about people that are important in your life, because when you take them for granted, you will unfortunately most likely realize after the fact that you took that for granted. Your health, all of these things, we talk about this in part 2 all the time. But when things are going well and the holiday season's going so easily, you're like, well, they already know how I feel about them, so I don't need to get them a gift. You do. When someone already knows how you feel about them, I don't need to show them. You do. I'm doing well at my job. They know that I'm important to them. You got to keep doing it. This is a reminder. 'Tis the season can be a very good reset button in the sense that you might have been slacking a lot of the year in, year out. The fact that if this is a reminder that you need to go above and beyond what you normally do, you might be in a good situation. Oh shit, I haven't shown this person or this company or myself that I truly appreciate these people, that I need to go above and beyond so that they realize going into the new year that I need to feel appreciated, myself and to them. You messed up. 'Tis the season going into this is more impactful, in my opinion, than New Year's resolutions, than any other aspect where like, oh, I fucked up. I need to make it better. If you walk into this season, I don't know what else to do. I already show my employer, my significant other. I show my kids. I show my friends that I love them all the time. They're not expecting anything because you've done it all the whole year. But if you have that mindset that you're constantly trying to show people appreciation, that is, in my opinion, and I'm not good at it, it's very fulfilling because you will hear, don't do anything. You show me all year round. You do so much. The holiday gifts, that's, in my opinion, that's the best one. If I say, I what do you want for the holidays? What do you want for the Christmas? What do you want for this? What do you want? Like, we're coming up to the New Year's. I want you to be more part of my life. I want to do better for the business. I want to do. Someone says, you're doing so well. Thank you. That is really what this holiday season is about, is that you do it all year round. You show that love, you show that commitment, you show the giving. That's the lesson for me, is 'tis the season. I'm not trying to like take it away from that. Is that if that's a reminder for you, take it very seriously. If people around you, and I know there's a lot of people out there that listen to this, that people are saying, don't give me anything. You've given me so much. That is the reason for the season, is that you're doing so much. And I'm sure all of you have heard that, hopefully. And sadly, in a sense, you've said that more than you've heard that. Don't get me anything for Christmas. Don't get me anything for Hanukkah. Don't get me anything as a thank you for the end of the year. You do so much. I think we say it more than we hear it. And I think that is a reflection on possibly how you live your life, or how your perspective of what you give. That's more accurate. And I think that 'tis the season. Keep giving. Always.
You get a lot when you give a lot.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Cheers. Happy holidays.